talk, chat.
Might also partially help my mic wasn't like 8 yards away from me. Partially help my mic wasn't like. Oh, I'm echoing.
Yeah.
Oh, because I got the audio on.
No, I think it's because of my headphones, or my beanie's on. But Cal speak or my
Yo.
Cal speak.
Chatting, talking, back and forth.
We're good. All right.
Sweet.
All right, let's do this. Welcome to the Blue Rubies podcast, episode number 273. I'm Adrian. That's David. That's Kels. We're on youtube.com/@BlueRupees every Tuesday to talk about video games and what other stuff that happened. A lot of stuff. Actually, I've been out of touch, so I don't know how much stuff happened this week. A lot of bad stuff, but then also, I don't know. I was gonna say a lot of bad stuff, but some good. But then I feel like that's been every week this year. Anyway, but it's been a week, so first things first, we're gonna check in with everyone. So, how you guys been? What's the week brought to you? Before I hate that I just said that. I just interrupted him right before he spoke. Hey, this time next week, for the first time since the podcast fucking started, I'll have seen someone else on the other side of the screen. So,
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Find out on Monday. Or
yeah,
next
yeah.
Tuesday,
Find out. Yeah, see who's gone. If anyone out there happens to be at that Near concert in Boston on Saturday, reach out, come say hi, because it's gonna be a good ass show. But I'm not ready for the whiplash of temperature because Vegas was like 80 degrees this last weekend.
I'm just imagining at back he just walks up, slaps David's ass, and just walks away. Doesn't say anything.
Who the hell was that?
And you just know. You don't even have to ask. Like,
oh no, he slap, then you look at the guy and they turn around and go, hell yeah. That's how you know.
That's how we know.
Yeah, that's the calling sign. But yeah, so next week will be a lot of talk about how that show went. It's been the second time going, so I know how the thing goes. But David's gonna be watching for the first time, and I'm excited for him to see because, it's a hell of a show. But anyway, I interrupted. How have you guys been this last week?
Been a week.
Yeah.
Weird networking issues abound for a lot of companies, dealing with a lot of dumb shit in the IT field. But I got a fun new toy that kind of makes it better that we'll talk about in a little bit. That my partner has already told.
I love that you ended with that. Okay.
It's about yeah big.
Interesting. Well,
yeah, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble with it on this trip. It's gonna be great.
All right, I don't want to know that. All right, Kels, how'd your week go?
So far so good. Normal, chill week. No networking issues on my end. So
yeah,
thumbs up.
Yeah. So I did when we were young in Vegas this last weekend. I'm so fucking tired. Like I'm very burnt out on everything. And so like I'm super excited because one, I love Boston. Boston was one of my favorite stops that I made when I drove across the country. I love that city. But obviously David and see some near stuff, and we're gonna actually go visit for a day. Go check out his homestead. I'm gonna go look at the mark that Outback made David leave on the wall there. But
history.
Yeah, but it's. I'm not gonna lie. Like I am so excited for it to be over. The girlfriend's ecstatic for the trips to end because it is exhausting right now. We've been just traveling constantly this year, and I forget. Did I mention the Aquabats show?
No.
I was just perusing Instagram a few weeks ago, and it's Aquabats 30th anniversary. So they're doing back-to-back shows, and the first night is the first 15 years of their catalog. The second night's the last 15 years of their catalog, and they're letting fans vote on what their set list is.
Interesting,
right? And for both nights, $75. Which
all right,
that doesn't happen very often. So
Yeah, look
No.
at Warp Tour. It's like 150 for both nights.
yeah, and Warp Tour used to be the cheap shit, which is fucking insanity.
Yeah, it's not even Warp Tour anymore. It's Warp Festival.
Yeah, which
Can't call that
they,
shit a
It's
tour.
a tour
Tour
ad.
they were
stops.
there were actually some advertisers outside of when we were young
Oh yeah,
doing
that's
that.
where it leaked at. That's
Oh.
before it like went official. People were taking pictures at when we were young as it was setting up, and that's
Mm,
how it got leaked out.
yeah, it's like 3 dates, which is nothing. Um,
Yeah, and they're all in weird spots. Like the big thing about Warp Tour is it hit like
Everywhere.
the flyover states essentially,
yeah,
and now it's just like no, we're gonna stop at like Orlando and
hitting the big cities.
yeah, we're hitting like the big coastal cities.
Yeah, which does fuck all. But yeah, I'm gonna do those Aquabat show, and then I wasn't looking at it too much, but have you seen the lineup for Sick New World?
Yeah,
That one speaks to me. That one, because Linkin Park's on my bucket list. 3 Days Grace with Adam back in the lineup is on my bucket list. You got some AFI, you got some Scars on Broadway. So I'm probably gonna go to that, but we're gonna wait till people have to sell their tickets so we can get cheap ones. Because
Yeah.
it's expensive as fuck. I was wondering, I was like, surely there has to be people that have like ran the fuck into when we were young to go get like on the gate for My Chemical Romance, right? Just like, oh yeah, they had like a rope drop and like people were like all full like in the getup.
Whenever I went to go see them, we got floor seats or standing tickets on the floor because they played at the Paycom Center, which is our NBA arena.
Okay.
And we got there like an hour early, and it was still like we're still probably like I want to say 20, 30 feet back from the front.
Damn.
So people got there early as fuck.
Yeah, so what they did, they straight up like rope dropped that shit and they just sprinted to the front and they were there all day. So imagine you get there like at 10:30 and they don't play till 10:30 that night. So I didn't even watch them. I made the mistake of, and it's never happened before, but I've learned that because I've been wearing Converse a lot less,
Ugh.
Converse fucked my feet up.
Not only do they fuck your feet up, but they get stank as fuck, dude.
They do.
Converse is like,
but
the denim shoes.
But I've been able to rock them for however long. It's not been an issue, but it's because I've been wearing Hey
You're
Dudes
getting
a
old,
lot.
Doug?
I've been wearing Hey Dudes and Crocs a lot, so it's like been not just flat. So my feet were fucking dying at the end, and I felt bad. But she was like, "It's fine." Like she wanted to see My Chemical Romance, but I've seen him enough before, and she wanted to see Sleeping with Sirens. But then we were like at a spot where we're like laying down, like far enough away. She's like, "Oh, I can watch from here." And then like about 3 songs in, she's like, "I can't hear that well because the speakers for Fall Out Boy on the opposite side of the festival grounds is also bleeding into Sleeping with Sirens," which is interesting. I have a few. I want to talk about music for a little while because I made an
I'm down
epiphany.
with that.
I had an epiphany this trip.
I've had one too with this recent When We Were Young Fest because like the first one I had major FOMO. The second one, or is this second or third?
I think
feel like
I want to say the third, but I could be wrong.
well, the first one's I had major FOMO. This one I'm like feeling good about because a lot of these bands I've seen before, and
Yeah.
like a lot of them like are just playing shit that's like I don't care about.
Well,
And so now I'm kind of getting to that point where like I'm an adult, I can travel, go see these people. A lot of them I have seen, like MCR was a big one. If I hadn't seen MCR, like because their whole thing, right, is they're on hiatus for forever after Danger Days, and then they finally came back for their reunion tour. They did what is it? Whatever of Decay, Foundations of Decay. They dropped that single, did the tour. So seeing them, and so now I don't have to worry about going to a big festival for them. And then like all the other bands like Fall Out Boy, I don't have to see Fall Out Boy. That's not a must see.
It's two novelties, right? It's novelty of
Right.
being able to see everyone at once,
Yeah.
but also I liked their gimmick this year was that they played albums
Playing
in
an
full,
album and more. Yeah.
which I think is cool. I like when bands can do that.
I like it whenever they're able to do that, and then bands like Coheed get told, "No, you can't do that." After they get brought on the tour,
So
like 2 weeks before the show, they got let. They were like, "Hey, these concept albums that need to be played in full, you can't do it."
yeah, so well, no, so they got mad that they couldn't play other songs.
No, their thing was legit because they couldn't get the hour and a half block.
Oh, was it
'Cause
okay?
they
Because I
were-
thought it was because they couldn't play other songs as well. Because
Well,
I
you
think
legit couldn't play other songs because their album takes up the whole hour and a half.
right, because All American Rejects dropped out last second, and I heard it was because of
Yeah.
that they didn't get the set list they wanted. But yeah, the Coheed. So
A lot of
I
bands didn't play the set list that they said they were going to as well. That I know of.
I think that happened with a couple. A couple just had to throw in something, but
One of the weird ones was Dance Gavin Dance. They literally just kicked out the singer that they're going to play the songs from, and so they just completely changed their whole song list and just did a bunch of deep cuts that they just legit don't play anymore.
that's kind of cool though.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So the girlfriend's like, "What bands do you want to hit?" 'Cause she's like, I've seen all these. I know what I want to see, but like she's a one. I was like, Coheed's the only one that I have some vague resemblance like of or some semblance of like connection to. So like I want to see that because that seems like it'd be a fun show. I got
And then
One day
surprise,
I'll see
surprise.
I do dude, get the fuck over Primus, dude. Like genuine, get the fuck over Primus. Like go watch them.
No,
Yes, get the fuck
I'm
over
not gonna pay for basically half a show. Fuck that.
I always make fun of people that like Coheed and go and see Coheed because I'm like, oh yeah, it's the rock band song.
Yeah.
It's the two guitar guy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cool. And then
Unironically.
they played with My Chemical Romance on that tour, which I'm still butthurt about because Turnstile dropped off, and I fucking love Turnstile. But besides the point, Coheed fucking shredded. They're good. It was a solid show.
Coheed fucking slapped, dude. I took a long video during Welcome Home, and yeah, dude, someone like yeah, I got a couple crowd surfers. There's one guy who managed to let everyone get him up, standing up on his feet right here, so he's standing above the crowd, just like going in with them, dude. And yeah, that was a good time. But I was like, that was it. That was the only one. That's the one we got closest to because I was like, I'm willing to do for that. And then everyone else, I'm like, whatever you want. Like, leave me wherever the fuck you want. I'll do whatever. And so I want to say I had this epiphany. We were on the ride back, and I was fucking tired leaving Vegas, and I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna last, but I was like, take your nap, and we'll see. And I'm on a side tangent here for a second. I listened to Kid A by Radiohead for the first time, and that's been an album that I've been told for years that I've been told Radiohead. I was like, what the fuck? You don't listen to Radiohead?
You've been watching too much Hive Mind, bro.
I didn't even connect that to them. It just in general.
They talk about Kid A. That's the main reason why I recognize.
I've had it for years told to me because that's so. When I listened to it, I had a giant grin on my face. I'm like, this is exactly what I fucking love. Like this, everyone who was calling me out about this, yeah, you guys fucking nailed it. But yeah, that was because it's been that in Rainbow's OK Computer, and just Kid A was one that I've always heard. And I also remember that one being the one they had on the PS for VR, I think it was, or something like that. So I was like, yeah, I'll go listen to that one, and yeah, that was fucking incredible. I listened to a few other albums, and I let the girlfriend out, and I told this to you guys. I'm like, I'm very picky with starting new artists or albums. I know how my brain works. So I was like, look, I remember I said this to one of you guys in the podcast. I forget for what. I was like, give me one album that you think I should listen to. I'll listen to it. And then if I like it, I'll go and continue and download more. But if you give me two, my brain's going to put that shit off for years. And so she gave me a Pierce the Veil album. And Pierce the Veil, because that was one of her big ones she wanted to see. Hey, shout outs, because that is the one that all us Mexican kids go crazy for, apparently. But
Vic Fuentes.
yeah. Well, it makes sense. Like I was thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot of my students that are fucking all over Pierce the Veil. So that makes sense. And they're also a newer band, which I didn't realize too. I was like, I kind of realized, but didn't.
They were new whenever I was in high school, so they're getting into their decade at least.
But newer compared to like you look at like fucking the
2010s
used.
newer, yeah.
But I listened to the one album, I liked it. I had the epiphany. I'm like, like 3 Days Grace, my favorite album from them is still 1X, and it's pretty whiny emo. But I'm like, I really fucking despised emo in high school. I was a grunge kid. I was like, what happened there? And I'm thinking, I know.
Yeah, seeing you slandering Hawthorne Heights, how fucking dare you?
And I realized
shit.
it's because of Hawthorne Heights why I fucking hate emo or hated
No,
emo.
you hate it because of their fans.
I hate it
you know
because
it.
of that fucking cringy ass line the cut my wrist and black my eyes. I made fun of that shit every
Black
day.
my wrist and black my
I
eyes.
made
Yeah,
fun
I
of
know that fucking line. Come on, dude.
I made fun of that
Come on.
line every day of my life through high school. And I just assumed that every emo song was like that. And so I was having this real time epiphany with the girlfriend. She's like, "Oh yeah, no, that makes sense, and you're valid. That that's totally valid." She's like, "Yeah, they are very whiny and kind of made a bad stigma for emo music for a little while, for some." But I was like, "Yeah," because I feel like if it wasn't for them, a lot of my wheelhouse would have blended in there. But that line stuck out to me like a sore thumb, and so I assumed that was all emo music. So that was my epiphany that I had on this trip. If everyone says embrace the cringe, I did not do that in high school. It's not something you can tell me to do. Are you interested in Sick New World? Is that a lineup that you looked at that you were like, that's pretty sick, or is it not? Does it not fall under the?
I mean, I'm fucking stoked for it personally, but I don't think I'll be going.
Kels?
No, it's I lovingly refer to a lot of that music as dad rock.
I failed to see the issue.
Yeah, there's no issue with that. It's just it's not what I'm into.
All right, yeah, because
I mean, there's like honestly looking at it, there's a bunch of like bucket list bands on here for me.
Sure.
Gojira, Evanescence, Mastodon, Terror,
Oh, I've seen Gojira before.
Deer and Gray. You know, there's a
that's
lot.
a deep cut of a band.
So there's a lot on here I would
Yeah,
fucking
maybe you
love
didn't
to
watch
see.
Headbangers Ball.
You would hate every second of it being in Vegas, though.
Yes, I would hate every second of it. And honestly, it's so early into next year that we're still gonna be fucking recouping from all the holidays and other shit that's going on. So
Fair.
it's kind of like every time we keep telling ourselves we're gonna go to Ludo, they announce it way too fucking late for us to make plans for it.
That's fair. I
Yeah, none of these bands like jump out at me just like looking over it.
Linkin
I
Park's
wanted
the
3 Days Grace 2X.
yeah. I can't tell if that's like their new branding of a name or
Yeah, I can't either. That's awesome. Though.
but I mean they're going with
They
it.
should just really call themselves 6 Days Grace at that point. Then.
Exactly.
I am like just I was thinking about it on the trip back. I'm like,
Looks
man,
weird.
I'm really kind of getting excited for the new album because it's gonna be cool hearing them back and forth between the two singers, and we'll see how that plays out. More bands need to do the multiple singers thing. Like I
I
fuck
always
with
think
that.
that's weird. There's a metal band called Angel Maker, and they have two sing. Well, they just brought on a second singer, so it's like, how the fuck is this gonna work out? Type of situation.
I mean, Nightwish has done it for decades.
You got
And they're
Nightwish, you got
both
Linkin
not-
Park, System of a Down.
Well, those have like, okay, you look at what Linkin Park, Mike Shinoda, he's handling the rapping.
So you're saying like two
Chester.
specific just singers.
Right. So the guys in Angel Maker, they're both unclean vocalists. So it's like, how's this gonna work? Yeah, it's not like
Okay,
they're
so not
harmonizing.
juxtaposed.
So you're kind of doubling up on the same style then.
right.
Okay, I
like
see
maybe
that.
one guy can pig squeal really good. I guess. Like, does it make sense? I don't know. TBD. I guess.
Yeah.
But I totally get what you're saying. Like whenever you have juxtaposing styles or someone that brings something that the other guy doesn't bring.
But so
Show.
on that note, Breaking Benjamin had their newest song in a while, and that was my favorite band for the longest time.
Sure.
And I'll listen to them still, but holy shit, the lyrics are the most stale fucking thing on the planet. It's like
Your lyrics back then weren't great either.
the lyrics in the first 3 albums like stood out just being that they were like the first 3 albums, and then after like the third, I still love the
first
fourth.
time you heard it.
I love their 4th album still. After that, I'm like, bro got a whole new band and it's like still the same exact thing. It's like you just ask an AI to spit out some lyrics from them and it's like the exact thing. And then I listen to fucking Kid A, which is the most fucking weird amalgamation of just shit. There's a whole fun backstory behind that, and I'm like, man, I had to come to the realization. I'm like, Breaking Benjamin is like people's comfort food. Like it's like a McDonald's,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's never gonna change, and that's why I like it because like I will always have access to that exact food.
Well, that's dad rock in a nutshell. It's like comfort music.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of one of those things that for me personally, they hit a nostalgic part of my brain, but it's not for them themselves. It's because in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, they had 3 songs in that fucking game. and I used one of them as my theme for my Creator Wrestler. So I just have a lot of exposure to their music in those games. That's the only
A
reason
lot of
why
people
they're
have like
nostalgic
exposure
to
just like
me.
that, just in some sort of way, fashion. I mean, Halo 2 is the biggest one for
Tony
everyone.
Hawk Pro Skater sent me on my fucking
Eh.
sent me
Hell
on my
yeah.
musical journey. Oh,
Dude,
wait,
unironically,
Everyone's
dude.
first introduction to ska. Here you go. Have the
Yeah,
Tony Hawk
exactly.
soundtrack.
You know this band Jimmy Eat World? You're gonna fucking love them one day.
One of my earliest was this baseball. This I forget if I talked about this in the podcast. It was MLB 2K5, and Best Buy had this promotional disc of music that came with it. And I remember going to get that, and I even had to actively ask. Like, and this is like I think I was like in middle school, or just like I think I was in middle
That's
school
why
actually.
used to have like the best like additional items that you could get with
Dude.
shit like that just randomly.
That and it was $20 fucking. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, and so I remember
2K was
asking them
goated.
too. I was like, they gave me the game, and I was like, it was like a middle school. I was like seventh, eighth, maybe ninth grade.
Yeah, dumb little child.
I forget how old I was, but I like pointed that out, and they gave that to me, and it had Nightwish on it. Funny enough, but it had a bunch of
Hell
like,
yeah.
it had a bunch of like Christian rock on it, which Christian rock is like the easiest like a gateway drug into like heavier music, right? It's like your first like it's like say they have Brady Benjamin kind of falls in that, right? Where it's like a really easy
Yeah, you know,
mainstream rock to
honestly,
get into.
unironically, like Creed is on not a terrible way to try to get someone eased into metal. Honestly,
Yeah,
It's so funny where y'all go with Christian rock and talking about getting into metal because there's several bands that I kind of grew up getting into that kind of got me in like the metalcore scene. Like one Oh Sleeper is one. They're a local band from Texas growing up that got pretty big, and then the Devil Wears Prada. They were another and Under Oath. Under Oath
Mhm.
was another Christian kind of hardcore band, metalcore band that they don't feel nowadays. I think they're kind of like, yeah, guys, we're not a Christian band. We're moving past that, but
no,
Yeah.
my metalcore gateway was the classic Hatebreed. But
that
no,
was a lot
I
of the bands I listened to. Gateway.
but no, for me, I just grew up around metal, so I mean
Yeah.
that was always going to be a thing.
I see. In my taste just diverged. I was like a grunge kid when I was growing up, and it was like my friends that I just stopped hanging out with so much in high school, and it was like they were on emo.
I
And
just
like,
hated Pearl Jam. That see, okay, here's okay. You hated emo because of Hawthorne Heights. I hated grunge because of Pearl Jam.
you know what's funny is as a self-proclaimed grunge kid, I just never. I tried a couple Pearl Jam songs, and aside from like one or two on Rock Band that I probably know if you go back to it, I just never cared about it. And people were always like, "Oh, Pearl Jam's like grunge," and I was like, never clicked with me. Like it was never a thing. But
Me either, and I always thought I was a fucking weirdo for it. It's like, what are you talking about? I don't care about this band called Jizz Necklace, guys. Please stop recommending them.
unironically, I'm still gonna try to just because I feel like I need to complete this grunge this whole circle like full circle of me. But
Don't. You're only hurt your brain. Trying
Probably.
to figure out what's wrong with everyone else.
but
He's
man,
only going to lose like 20 minutes of his life. It's fine.
But yeah, no. I Christian rock and like the mainstream stuff was like my easiest gateway into that, and I've never got into like super heavy metal or anything like that. That was never my wheelhouse.
See, that was MySpace for me. MySpace was kind of like so that was it was that weird point where internet just started getting good enough to where you could like instantly kind of stream stuff with little to no buffer,
Mhm.
and it was kind of like a big social thing to have music kind of define who you are and like
Dude,
what you
the
are.
MySpace those profile songs, those slap, dude. It was good.
Hell
Yeah, exactly.
I remember
And a
getting
lot
those-
of bands
you know
just
how good you
popped up
felt?
from MySpace.
How good you felt when you got comments. Hey, that's a sick song, dude.
Right. Dude,
Not to
love
mention
that
how
song,
like
bro.
weirdly widespread that got and kind of caught on to. Like, I
We've
remember
learned
Guy
how to
Online
fucking
used that
code.
too.
We would
Yeah,
learn how to code.
Exactly. It was baby. Someone posted about that on Twitter. It was like, so how did you as a kid get into coding and understand like how to do it right if you made a mistake? It's like, well, MySpace, if the link was broken,
Yeah.
I knew to go look at
Forced
it.
my ass to learn HTML and CSS.
Trey Fitty says, "Pour Some Sugar on Me" was my profile song. 15 years old.
Why is that
Fucking
check
basic.
out?
Yeah, no, it's fun diving into that stuff. But yeah, I feel very left out because like all my friends are emo, like in that sort of way. It's funny, and I'm just still getting like, I'm just like getting the surface level. Like I got like the hits down now. Like, Sugar, we're going down now. I'm like, all right, I know that song now. I'm good. I got that. But yeah, I've been
Hello, fellow kids. I too know your music.
yeah, but going back to New World, Linkin Park is my big bucket list. Which like I mean, I get David has his qualms. I understand that.
I really like that new singer, huh?
Yeah. That new song
Didn't know
slaps.
that new singer.
That new song slaps the fuck out of everything. It's great.
Oh yeah, something happened to the old one, David. They had to replace him.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he quit.
Yeah.
Butthole cancer.
Jesus. No, but I've been
Also, shout outs real quick to Harvey Weinstein. Does
Yeah.
have marrow cancer. Couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
That and Deshaun Watson completely blew out his ankle. So fuck him.
Hell
That dude's
yeah.
a piece of shit too. Just goaded pieces of shit having.
You know what? I
awesome
do
things
have to
happen
give
to
a
him.
public apology to cancer though for having to be in Weinstein. But
Sorry, you have to be in that dude's asshole.
but go nuts, man.
Yeah, do your thing.
But yeah, no,
Pop off, King.
I might have to do that festival because I want to knock out some bucket list bands. Let's see, what else I gotta say.
Oh yeah, and a bunch of the Weinstein library of movies that they had got released. Like Dogma was released back to Kevin Smith. So
Good.
no shit,
Hopefully-
that actually finally happened.
yeah, so hopefully that means a Blu-ray release here soon.
Oh
Something
man,
like
I've been
this.
holding on to that original DVD for fucking dear life, hoping for
Go-
something.
Dog, I found one in like a thrift store. I found a whole collection of his stuff for like 99 cents a pop, and they had Dogma. I was like, oh, there we go.
Oh,
Perfect.
that's a fucking girl right there. Goddamn.
On the topic of albums, because I was like in a real, like Kid A just threw me the fuck off and it put me down like a rabbit hole, and I was like, all right, I want to do some album stuff. I derailed my lesson plans to do a lesson on Kendrick Lamar's Damn.
Oh yeah.
So I walked them through a bunch of stuff, and it's so funny. Like, I remember when I started doing tutoring stuff back in like 2016 or 2017, and I remember asking the kids stuff, and I was like, "What's your favorite album?" And they're like, "Album." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you guys don't do that. Oh, that's some you guys just download just random
No,
songs."
they do the singles.
Yeah, which made sense, but a few of them like they've been doubling back a little more and doing more album stuff. But there's a handful of kids that are still like, I don't think I've ever listened to an album in full. I'm like, well, today's the day.
Today you're gonna learn what the point of a concept band is.
Dude, concept albums are fucking that's my jam. Funny, I was like, I asked the girlfriend, I'm like, is there any like emo concept albums? Because like that's probably a good way to get me into it. And
I
she's
got
like,
you.
she was like, fucking My Chemical Romance. The fucking that's the top one that you would see is a concept album. I'm like, oh, all right, cool.
The
I'll check
Black
it out.
Parade, and then if you want to get heavier, you can do Devil Wears Prada. They have an
That would be-
EP
you know
concept
what?
album.
Wow, we need to do this music podcast. Do a music gone by thing, but like a concept album thing.
Dude, they have an EP. It's super short, like 4 or 5 songs. It's called the Zombie EP. Every scene, ask your girlfriend about it. She'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And
Or
it's
what is
just-
it?
It's The Devil Wears Prada, and it's just the Zombie EP.
So I'm gonna ask her if she's heard the Devil's Prada zombie EP.
Yeah, it's like one of the big ones that every scene kid knows about. They have Zombie 2, and then they also have another EP concept album called, I think it's just called Space. It's like a sci-fi extraterrestrial concept album.
All right.
And if
So-
you want to get super heavy, you can go.
So you're doing that thing. My brain's like, all right, you gave me too much. But
No, if you want concept albums, I got you.
why? You know what though? Unironically, I like the idea of doing this little by little because, like, you know what? Games are long. It's hard to get through a game sometimes. Movies sometimes
Dude,
becomes a
those
chore.
are EPs too. You can knock those out in like 15 minutes.
Can you imagine if we had
Yeah.
And
You know what? If you're talking about a hardcore band, you can knock those out in 10 minutes for the whole album.
But can you imagine?
Oh my god.
Oh, she said she hasn't heard of that.
Oh wow, that's crazy. But yeah, it's a big one. Definitely peep it. They perform it amazingly live. It's just like about like a zombie outbreak, and it's following like a story from beginning to end.
We you know what though? How easy would it be to just do like a music gone by, and that'd be a good time. I think we could talk about notable tracks, some specific lines, and go through
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That We'll bring back that repeat shuffle thing. The April already
Oh yeah, we'll get Councilman. We'll
The
do
Duke.
it back.
April already says, don't think I've heard of concept albums.
Most purest form of music, my boy.
Concept albums are incredible. Like it's a good, when you hear a good song every now and then, fantastic. But imagine when you hear this album that just flows from one end to the other, and it just thematically just like a thrill line, like it just
Yeah.
hits.
In that sense,
I
your girl
guarantee
definitely
you,
played
actually,
Black
that you
Parade.
probably. Oh, I'm
You
sorry,
you
go
no,
ahead.
they know.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guarantee you, you know concept albums, but because of the way that music marketing works, you probably only know singles from that because that's how they have to get it out there.
That's true.
Dexy's Midnight Runner is an amazing example where a lot of good concept albums, but they just get chunked up so much in order to get fucking radio hits.
Yeah, next thing you know, they just have Come On Eileen.
We
Yep.
we
That's how everyone
put
knows them.
this on the burner and maybe see if we do that, because that'd be I could do an album like that's on top of everything else. I could do an album. Like if I'm driving somewhere, I could knock that shit out. Movies I gotta sit down for, which is still easier. But then games, I'm like, all right, I gotta be in a mood for this. But albums, ooh, fantastic.
Can happen anytime.
Yeah, maybe that'd be a good one. I don't think there's really, is there like, and then that market, is there a market for like discussions that in depth podcast style?
There's got to be, I imagine. There's a market for anything if you're brave enough.
I mean, no, we said
And-
we could have taken the creepypasta, but we didn't. We slacked.
True, we were too afraid. We're
Back to
too
what
lazy.
David was saying though about the hardcore albums. One of my favorite albums this year by a hardcore band called Knocked Loose, and their album that dropped, it's like less than 30 minutes long. It's like, how are you
Hell
gonna
yeah.
do this? I think it's 12 tracks and it's less than 30 minutes. It's like, come on, we have to take a stand here. We can't keep letting these motherfuckers get away with this. You're not gonna give me this Kino and then shortchange me on it. Tired
That's
of
like
it.
like
Of course they are.
Linkin Park's new album is like 34 minutes. I'm like,
And I
Well, like, the best part of every hardcore song is when you think it's finally about to start the chorus, and then you realize the song's over.
yeah, you're just into the next one. Okay, yeah, it's 10 songs, 27 minutes.
that's crazy.
It's like,
Hell
God
yeah.
damn it. You
Love
motherfuckers
hardcore
got me.
music.
But on the plus side, it's extremely common for hardcore bands to drop like a lot of music in between albums. Like you'll get an EP, you'll get
Yes.
like 2 or 3 singles, you'll get a split EP with another band, and then you'll get like the full length. So the one upside,
Music.
that and they tore their fucking asses off. It's like, god damn, how do you guys have any time for having like a family or like a life outside of music and touring?
And then meanwhile, there's bands like fucking the Proto Men who've been working on Act Free for fucking 12 years now. And I'm just like, I fucking need that. Give me that fucking Act 3.
Is that the Kentucky Route Zero of music?
Yes.
Interesting. Has Guns N' Roses ever released an album since Chinese Democracy?
Have they ever released a good album? No.
I didn't say good. I remember that thing took like 10 years. It was like the Duke Nukem Forever music. I think I remember hearing, and it came out, and then never anything else afterwards. I had that whole album on Rock Band. It's funny.
You bought that?
Didn't
Yeah.
you just buy
I
everything
actually-
Rock Band though?
I unironically think the album is not like pretty solid, but there's a handful of songs in there that go pretty crazy, dude. I love it. But
Okay, I lied. The Zombie EP is 5 minutes, 22 minutes, or 5 songs, 22
Mm.
minutes.
okay, a little bit different. Yeah, maybe we do that, but because I think it'd be fun to dive in, especially concept albums, like doing that probably for a little while and going through the stories of that. 'Cause let me give the backstory, because you guys said neither of you guys are into Radiohead, so let me give you the backstory of this. Because I immediately, once I finished it, I just immediately put a YouTube video. I'm like, give me the backstory. So they put out OK Computer, which was smash hit. Everyone fucking loved it. Critics, listeners, everyone. And it was on track that Radiohead was going to be like the biggest band in the world if they kept going. Also, side tangent, I didn't do this intentionally, but the night of when we were young, we got back to the hotel, turned on TV, and it was a South Park episode that had Radiohead in it, which was funny.
Nice.
Anyway, it was like if they made another album that exact same way as OK Computer, they would be the biggest band in the world. Like it was like on track to be that. But Tom York was just fucking sick of it. Like he was tired of touring that album, was just like mental block. all the pressure. He was like, I'm done. I'm shut down. And so he completely broke everything down and started going to electronic music. He's like, I'm tired of this fucking melody shit. I'm doing electronic music. Everybody says, I gotta head out, but I just want to let you know I haven't made any progress on the Halloween theme fire roster because of school. Dude, take your time. School first.
Yeah.
School
School's first.
drop
All right.
out. Make my fucking list. No, go do your thing.
You heard it here first. The teacher's telling you to drop out. Dog.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
means
has
I'm valid.
education done for anyone? Let's be honest.
Exactly. Besides paying my rent. So he decontracted, did electronic music, and he was telling his band this, and the band's like, "What the fuck do you mean you want to do electronic music? We have 3 guitarists. What do we do?" And they were like, "Well, we've got to figure it out." And so they tried writing. They went to like multiple areas and like stayed for a week, and just nothing came out of it. So they're like, "All right, let's try this approach." So instead of like of doing these like the old writing style, they all learned specific like electronic music equipment, and they broke off into teams to start making different things and bring them back together and do that. So it comes off as a very like robotic, weird world, and like the lyrics are so nonsensical, but in like a really cool way. So they would write lyrics, cut them up, put them in a hat, and just draw them out and put them together as the lyrics. It's
Interesting.
really fucking weird, but I was like enamored with every second of it. I was like, this is really fucking cool. But it was like the most like they went that way when everyone's like, all right, we're gonna see this, and it's like, no, they went that way. Like, imagine like, I don't know, imagine like any one of your heavy metal bands just made an electronic album next, like, and that's it, just pure electronic, just that's it, like that. It's like they went from a band, like a regular band making these rock music that were like almost like stadium rock, to just electronic, and it was like that was so wild. But
Well, you see, have you ever listened to Bring Me the Horizon? Because
Have you ever heard of Miracle
there-
of Sound?
because there are quite a few bands that have done this. No,
well,
I
so,
get what
and
you're
I'm not saying
saying,
that, I'm not
because-
saying it's
Yeah.
original,
yeah,
but
yeah,
again, the trajectory is the big thing, right? It's like they hit a smash hit, and they said, fuck that, we're not gonna do a follow up on that. Let's just do something completely different, which could have deteriorated, especially even because it's a writing style, right? Like they said, all right, no one's doing like your instruments anymore. Everyone learn a whole new fucking instrument. Everyone recollaborate. It's like if this didn't work, they would have fell apart. Like that's how like
Yeah.
changed it was. So it wasn't like a matter of like a progression, like doing stuff like that. Because like Avenged Sevenfold too, right? They have a lot more electronic stuff on the new album, but like that much of a hard left turn into that was wild.
yeah. I think that's extremely pretentious. Like that's cool and all. Like I'm glad they had fun with it, but me, if you tell me that, or if they tell me that, I'm like, all right, whatever, bro.
I see. I it's very and to that thing, yeah, it's very avant-garde, you know. It's like it's very like that. But I mean, I love A24, dude. I'm a fucking indie film person. Like, give me.
I mean,
like,
I am too.
I want to
but-
shout outs to Kyle. Kyle liked my tweet, so I know that man who likes all that indie shit. I know, but
There's a difference between indie shit and then like thumbing your nose at like, and like kind of aping the indie shit, you know, because I don't feel like that makes them indie if they're doing that. Their whole thing was they were mad at the system that they put themselves into, that they fed into, and then they retaliate against that. It's rage against machine, but at the machine that they made. It's their own creation and what they've wrapped themselves into that they're getting upset with, and now they're throwing like a hissy fit and going the opposite way because they're upset with what they made.
and so it's not necessarily like, yeah, he got like, there was a lot of comments that turned into that whole exactly what you're saying, kind of like, oh, like we created this whole like we've turned into like our work is sort of kind of getting aped that way, so you know, like that. But it was genuine like burnout writer's block that he just didn't know, and like when you make a big album like that, you don't know what to do with it, you know. Do you make the exact same thing over again? Do you go with that? It's a lot of it was based off the burnout of like, I'm tired and I want to do something different, you know. And so it's not necessarily like fuck everyone who liked my last album. It's like because I mean, like if you really was like that, like you could just disband, right? Like it's like why do that? But just,
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Is like just write it as something else.
Right.
Like you don't have to write it as the next Radiohead album.
But I think that says a lot of the band, right? It's like the band, the concept of a
that they're
band, right, is
pretentious.
like 4 or 5 people that get together and make the music. But like they were like, all right, let's do that together, but just do something completely different, right? I don't know. I like the backstory of like how that happens because it just it's that extra level. And then again, that was all stuff I learned after learning of just how weird and hypnotic this shit was, you know.
Well, it's the same thing as like the Beatles, right? It's like I really appreciate the artistry and what like the backstory that's been told umpteenth million times about like how they came to write Sergeant Pepper, how they almost broke up numerous times,
Yeah.
how so and so's quit the band X amount of times, but at the end of the day, they are still pretentious ass artists. It's a lot of divatry that leads into these works of art. Like we wouldn't.
You
get
know what?
Sgt.
Even
Pepper if
Doctor
they
Who
weren't
couldn't make me care about him.
But I mean, you know what though, and I think it does say a lot when the Beatles did break up though, right? And it's like
Yeah,
Radiohead's still
numerous
going though. Like
And
Radiohead's
they
still
would have reunited too if it wasn't for
Oh God,
Yoko Ono.
if it wasn't for Catcher in the Rye.
But like they did because they do get the ego thing right, and they did break up because of all that. But like Radiohead's still going, so I appreciate that too. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's still chugging along. And I mean and it doesn't just stop there, right? Like I've heard amazing things about In Rainbows too. Like I said, those 3 albums I've heard for like the last 10 years of my life. Just like go listen to OK Computer, Kid A, and In Rainbows. And I got about halfway through OK Computer, but I was getting sleepy, and I was like, I was a long drive. I'm like, I need to come back with a fresher mind. So put that away for there. Did follow back, and then I listened to a little bit of Gorillaz Plastic Beach. Actually, I don't want to say little. I listened to Gorillaz Plastic Beach all the way through. Fantastic album. And then 9 Inch Nails' The Slip, which was my introduction to that band because it was a free album that he put out there, and I was like, sick, free music without the torrent, hell yeah! And it was a good album, good times. We'll love to do concept albums, like talk like that though. Those I fuck with those. There's so much fun things you can just dive. Even if you don't like them, I like the backstory of just how music especially happens. You know, just how much core chemistry you really have to have within an album. It's different with video games and movies, right? Because you got this giant team around it, but really a lot of bands. Even though you have the producers and everything like that, but like it really has to come to like core members and how they work with each other to get that out.
Right.
Anyway, David, what'd you get this week?
Yo. Hell yeah. I got a few things here. As always, I keep my Evercade collection complete. So I got the Bitmap Brothers collection number 2 for their Commodore 64 releases. As well as I got the Legacy of Kain collection.
Ooh.
Nice.
And then I got a game that I'll be talking about in more depth and when we get to what we played, and that is Balatro.
Nice.
I was a man of my word. I got it. I played it. We'll talk about that more later. And then lastly, is my small thing that I got that I said we're gonna have a lot of fun with this weekend. I finally got myself a Flipper Zero.
I knew that was, what it was. I was gonna make a joke about turning off all the TVs around you, but I wanted to hold off.
Yeah, finally got this. I've scanned my work badge into it. I played around with the authenticator, and I have played around with the TV function at a restaurant we went to which my partner gave me a dirty look.
Are you gonna turn the near music off?
No, luckily they usually use projectors, so that won't happen. But also, I wouldn't do that. I promised my partner I'd only use my powers for good. So it's only gonna be when there's heinous shit on the screen or something I just don't like that I'm gonna do it too.
That reminds me of whenever you had like the 360 remote and you would like look at people like you were walking by and you're like, oh hey look they're on, let me turn our Xbox off. Good times.
But yeah, so I played around with this quite a bit. I really do like this thing. I want to get a couple of interesting tools set up on this. Also I've downloaded every amiibo to it as well. So whenever I want to do something with the Switch that requires amiibo functionality, I just scan this and select what amiibo I want.
Nintendo's about to send a hit squad to your location,
Like,
sir.
you have all of them? Like every
Yeah, I have every amiibo, all
Okay.
600 some odd amiibo things.
Okay, 'cause
Because it includes the amiibo cards.
I'll let the girlfriend know, so in case she wants the villagers, she can ask you.
Hey, you want scoots? I got you, bro.
So yeah, that's a fun little thing that you can do with these. And there's some other more nefarious things that you can do with them that I do need to get into. The problem is that Kali Linux has become shit over the years. And I hate Arch with a passion, but Black Arch unfortunately is the primary go-to for a lot of security shit now. So I just need to fucking just eat my pride and fucking actually sit down and play around with Black Arch at some point, but I don't want to. And lastly, this has finally arrived in the mail. I got my D replacement in. I finally have a brand new D. It's great. It came
I'm glad you
pre-wrapped, my D. So I got my nice newly wrapped D right here.
Oh, so that means you forgive them and you love LRG now, right?
Absolutely not. If anything, they've left me with a conundrum because I still have my original D wrapped over there. My D is always on full display.
Man has 2 Ds and he's bragging
It's got
about
a hard disk.
Cancel this, man.
I mean, if we're talking about hard disks, that box over there is literally just full of them. I just literally have hard drives for days. Let me go grab it so
Jesus.
I can show off just how many Ds I have.
I'm scared.
I literally just have a box
jumping
of
out.
hard drives. I just hoard them.
Man, it's King Tech.
In fact, I fucking flung one right now. But
Jesus.
what shit were you talking just now while I couldn't hear you?
It's a King Tech there.
Hell yeah. No, it's because of the fact that after a certain period of time, we just retire drives from work because
Yeah.
we're not going to trust something that's, 5+ years of constant writing to it. And I'm like, I'll fucking throw that in a home RAID array. Why not? And now I will eventually be getting a means to do that because Ubiquiti just finally fucking revealed their Unify NAS drive, 7-bay NAS, $500. And or no, 500, yeah, $500 for it. And then it's like, it's a little outside of what I could just like throw down money without caring about range. But I definitely will be getting that because there's a lot of interesting permission features and other Ubiquiti network gear. And it's like, I'm already in the environments. I have I have the Dream Machine Pro SC. I have their 4-bay network security camera system. I have a security camera, the G4 Bullet, and I have 5 access points of theirs. And I have one that I keep in the dining room, one that I keep right here in the office, and then I have one in the bedroom, and then I have 2 more in the closet that I don't have to go anywhere, just because my house is already covered. But I have extras if I need them. Again, also just retired devices from work. Why not? Except for the one in the dining room. I paid for that one. But I am deep in the Ubiquiti ecosystem at this point. It's the closest I've ever come to understanding Mac people.
Interesting.
I'm really upset that my work doesn't retire their devices and let us buy them first. Bastards.
There's no buying. I just take them.
Yeah, no.
He's like,
for
that's
us,
even better, I
fine,
know,
but
but-
it's like it's brand new Apple Mac shit, and they used to get rid of it for super cheap. Like, oh yeah, you want
Yeah.
this trash can Mac Pro? Like $200. Like, oh, okay.
Fucking hell. Yeah, no, anything that hits like 5 years of age, we're like, get fucking rid of it.
Yep.
Kels,
What's the question?
what'd you get?
What did I get? I got comics.
Hell yeah.
And,
Hell yeah.
I was gonna go pick up Alan Wake 2, but I forgot all about it. I was running
What?
late. I had to go stop by.
You
Spirit of
forgot
Halloween
about
and shit.
Alan Wake? Actually, I'm looking up right now the when my order comes in from Limited Run.
See, I'm so glad I didn't do the ordering.
Yeah, it comes in.
You know what? I will give Remedy credit for one thing. Shout out to them for keeping their promise. The PS5 version is fully complete on disc. It has been confirmed.
That
My
was my biggest thing too. I just want to go grab it on PS5.
yeah, my order doesn't come until December. I'm gonna play
Oh.
through Lake House just on PC, but I don't I want to. I think it's longer than Night Springs, so I'm gonna.
I would hope so. Night Springs was kind of like a little jaunt.
Yeah, whereas this is a whole open world thing, so I'm gonna probably start it next week.
I wonder if it's gonna lead into anything about that multiplayer game that they have coming out, or if it's gonna be linked at all.
I don't know, but that looks pretty solid. I'm hoping we can all play it in 3-person player co-op. Hell yeah, that's fine with me.
'Cause I think that's their next thing coming up, if it's not Max Payne. But anyways, first one we have Fist of the Moon Knight.
Hell
It's
yeah.
a new run
yeah.
continuation off of Vengeance of the Moon Knight.
My
Mark
friend,
Spector is back. He's alive.
my best friend, picked up Marvel Snap. He's been taking just screenshots to tell me about it, and he's just really pissed because he still hasn't got Moon Knight. He
Dude,
fucking
that's
loves Moon
what
Knight.
that's one of the biggest things that kind of pissed me off about it at first is like there's so the big thing about comic book nerds and like Marvel and shit, DC and comic books in general is like you have your favorite character. So when you can't
Yep.
get your fucking favorite character, you kind of don't want to play it.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I
No,
was
but that's
too,
what they're
like,
hoping for because you're going to spend the
Right.
monies to try and get them.
He's
well,
been
not with
trying.
Marvel Snap because you can't even spend your money to buy the one that you want.
Yep, he's definitely been trying.
Yeah, because my thing was like I wanted Spider-Man, but Spider-Man I didn't get him to drop until like I was like dozens of hours into it. Next one, Uncanny X-Men. Again, they have sick art. I love the full page art.
That's fucking slick.
Fucking killing it. The Exceptional X-Men run. This one's interesting because they all kind of. So the most recent long-running X-Men run, it ended and it kind of split off to 3 different versions. So they have different members of the original team kind of like doing their own thing, kind of organizing it how they think they should run it, and Kitty Pryde's leading the Exceptional X-Men. This one is one that pissed off the bigots because the Ultimates new run, they introduced the new Hawkeye. He's a Native American dude, or they don't-
Yes.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil your thunder, but I have seen the whole thing with him.
Yeah, I think it's called
Or
Two
them, I suppose I
Spirits.
should say.
Yeah, it's like they
Yeah.
don't identify as male, female, and so I've seen some people getting up in arms about it and typical neckbeard types, and then the people that just don't read or they don't care, they just want to latch onto grifters.
But if I can't identify to Hawkeye, then clearly DEI is to blame.
Right, I don't know if my pee-pee should get hard when I look at it or not. Absolute Batman. This man is a chongus.
Yes.
Never has he looked so ripped.
Fucking harkening back to Liefeld's run.
Right, harkening back to Frank Miller in The Dark Knight. Here's the blank feature of it. It's the one that you take to cons and get signed. And then we have Geiger, another sick art there. Atomic Zebra with 3 eyes, love it.
Damn, fucking comic art for covers at least is popping off lately.
Yeah, it is. Ultimate Spider-Man 10.
I-
Ultimate Spider-Man's fucking killing it. It's probably one of my favorite ways that they've written Peter, because here recently, I don't know what it is. I feel like the people that are writing for Spider-Man have like a fetish to see him like in the worst possible state. Like either
Yeah,
MJ is
the happy
yucking him-
Spider-Man's a bad Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. No, we can't leave Spidey happy. Meanwhile, in Ultimate Spider-Man, he's like the perfect dad. He's having like a midlife crisis, and that's whenever he gets his powers. And like everything's going good for him. Like things are positive, but then you kind of see the cracks starting to show because Harry's a piece of shit, but Harry's also the Green Goblin already, and so it's kind of like there's this power imbalance because now he's seen Harry like maim and kill people. Meanwhile, Pete's not about that. And so you're kind of starting to see the fractures start to show,
Hey,
and they're killing it so far, loving it.
not on that note, but kind of on that note of art. I shouts to Uzumaki, killing it.
Oh yeah.
I was at
Christ.
I was gonna mention this, but I will forget, so I'll mention it now real quick. Is we were at the fashion mall in Vegas, this huge mall, and decided to just out of curiosity check out the Hot Topic there because why not? And they had an Uzumaki shirt of that one, like just the cover, with the girl in the eye. I've wanted that shirt. Like that shirt looks sick, just like on something like that. And they ran out of that one. But shout out to that art though. Right now, that it somehow got worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse.
I'm
And I keep
so
seeing people
pissed.
find new issues with the animation, like as the day goes longer.
Yeah.
Again, the man is cursed to never have a good fucking adaptation of his work.
Yeah, I don't understand it. It's so crazy to me.
Well, it's because it costs a lot to make, and it's like, well, then don't fund it. You shouldn't have done it to begin with.
Okay, but like it costs a
Well,
lot to make, but at
for
the same time,
Warner
like,
Brothers.
yeah, but like at the same time, it's kind of like, look at other studios. Look at fucking what Ufotable is fucking able to achieve, while still having like the typical budget that everyone else has.
I mean,
Like, it's possible.
Yeah, it's just expensive, and no one wants to fund it. Anyway,
I just think it's funny that this is now like what, the second or third anime that they've just completely fucked over now. Because first, it was
Technically the fourth, and the second time it being Uzumaki.
yeah, because Ninja Kamui kind of got fucked over.
You think
I've
he's
heard,
done
like,
after
the
this?
Rick and Morty anime is really bad.
Oh, Adult Swim.
Yeah, all the Cartoon Network animes that they've done, or Adult Swim animation.
People are like, they
whatever.
should have put the fucking money from the Rick and Morty anime into Uzumaki.
Right, exactly.
Truly, honestly, it's one of those frustrating things where I keep holding out hope that maybe one day we'll finally get season 2 of Big O. And I'm like, you know what? If this is what Adult Swim is fucking funneling money into, maybe it's better we don't ever get a
Yeah.
continuation finally.
Yeah,
Or
that's
season
fine.
3, rather. We got season 2. Because I always fucking wanted a continuation of Big O. And they set it up with the idea that they could revisit it. Because that was one of the weirdest things with that series. We're on this side tangent. We're going down this rabbit hole. I don't know if y'all have watched Big O. Kels, I imagine you have.
Yeah,
But
it's been quite a while, but I know the general premise of it.
I would love to hear it. Let me feed the cat right now so you can go off
Batman
and do your
with
whole
a
thing.
all right.
Cool.
I wasn't gonna go into spoilers, but that's fine anyways. But genuinely, unironically, one of my top 5 anime of all time. And the wildest thing with the Big O is it was actually the American audience that propped that series up.
Yeah.
It did not do well in Japan, but it was loved enough on Adult Swim in America that Adult Swim went to Sunrise and said, "Hey, we'll foot the bill for the second season," and that's how we got season 2. And they're like, we'll go ahead and we'll do a season 3. They left it open ended, knowing that it's not guaranteed, but they're like, we know what we would want to do with a season 3. And the tonal whiplash between season 1 and season 2 is so fucking wild, and I fucking love it. Because after season 1, there was a manga adaptation that went even darker with the storyline. And when season 2 came around, they're like, oh fuck, copy that. So we have fucking Norman, the butler, in season 1, being the kind of like playful Alfred that everyone thinks of when they see like animated Alfred, and then the manga made him into actual fucking Alfred, where it's like, nah, this motherfucker was former like military spec ops. He will fuck some shit up. And then the anime was like, yeah, let's do that. And then fucking the amount of times Norman just is an absolute fucking unit in season 2. I just fucking A, Big O deserved fucking better, man. That deserved its finale, its true fucking finale, but
I feel
never
like
got
that,
it.
That evolution of Alfred is like one of my favorite like innovations on the Batman story that they ever did. They're like, oh yeah, no, by the way, we're just gonna make Alfred like a what is it? A British secret
MI6.
agent. Yeah, MI6. Just official. It's like, oh shit, this is awesome. Actually, I didn't know I needed a hitman Alfred.
It's one of those beautiful things where truly, because I've always been of the thing that like Batman is okay to me, but like everything around Batman is what makes me interested
his
in
villains
Batman.
gallery is like one of the best things about Batman.
But one of the best villains gallery, but also the Bat family is just infinitely interesting. I love the Bat family. Batman himself, he kind of falls into that Superman role.
With issues, we get it.
Yeah, and all the money in the world. Like in the hands of phenomenal writers, sure, solid, why not? But generally speaking, everything else around Batman is far more interesting than Batman. And Alfred fits into that too, because especially as they build out more of the Bat family concept over the years, and we even see those elements where like fucking Alfred stands up to Bruce and various points where Bruce is like, nah, I'm gonna fucking tear into like Dick at this point, and Alfred's like, no, you're gonna go calm your fucking ass down, otherwise you're gonna answer to me. And Bruce backs the fuck off. When fucking Batman himself is like, nah, I don't want any of that shit, you got a hard motherfucker right there.
Yeah, that was a big part of the animated series. He was kind of like that middle point
Yep.
between Dick and Bruce before they split. And he was like that point of liaison between them.
And I feel like that honestly is one of the things in like some of the newer Batman stuff that I feel is missing, is Alfred really did become like the center heart to a lot of Batman stuff.
Well, see,
and I
the
feel
thing
like
is,
honestly
they kind
Gordon
of
kind of
realized that,
became
but now they like to kill him off. They like to fridge Alfred because they realize that. They're like, oh, he's the glue now. Now we can just kill him.
Yeah, he's now Uncle Ben. It's fine.
Exactly. He's the, oh, we can't kill Batman's parents again. We can kill the next best thing. The
Who
guy
gives a
who
fuck
might have
about your
fucked his
parents? We're
mom.
gonna ape your butler.
Yeah. We're taking them all out. You don't get any happiness.
You know, I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued to see where this new universe of DC goes. The idea
I
of everything
definitely am
running
too.
off of dark side energy is kind of neat.
Hmm. Yeah, and so we'll probably get into it, but New York Comic Con happened, and or did we already talk about that? I can't remember. But anyways,
I think we talked a little bit about it.
yeah, I feel like we talked about it last week, maybe. But they introduced Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Flash, and Absolute Martian Manhunter. And I'm super like stoked for Manhunter because he's like the art style is like a Dick Tracy kind of like pop art style. It looks so cool.
Mm.
And yeah, super interested because I think they said that it might cross, or it might be something else, because I remember James Gunn saying a lot of the new DCU stuff would cross over into animation and comics as well. So I don't know if
Goddamn,
that's
that
gonna be a
was
new line or how that's gonna work.
such a good fucking get by Warner Bros. Like one of the few good things they've done with
Absolutely.
DC.
That man has a vision and he doesn't like AI, so I'm up with it.
Man, I'm so excited to really start to see some of his shit. I saw that also Clayface is getting his own series, which is interesting.
That is super interesting because, or like TV series.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of the Penguin?
No, because I didn't like Matt Reeves' Batman.
The Penguin, that shit is Kino. It's really fucking good. That's funny that
I'm
you like Batman.
I didn't like it because it felt like they had 7 different ideas and they said, fuck it, we'll do them all.
Right. No,
It should have been, and maybe I should give the Penguin a try, because my issue with it, and Adrian really thought I was wrong on this opinion, but fuck him, is that it should have been more focused. If you were going to go ahead and try to fit in as many plot details as they did, make it a mini series, make it a TV series where you can have all those ideas and let them breathe, instead of being like, okay, it's going to be about Batman, but it's also going to be about Riddler, but we're also going to introduce elements of Calendar Man, and it's going to be about Selena Kyle, and it's going to be about the Penguin, and just continuously layering all these things. It's just like, fucking stop.
No, see,
fucking pick one.
Yeah, that was the big issue with it, right? They tried to world build and give an origin story, but I feel like you have to pick a lane. Like, it's one of those things, like, so that was one of the beautiful things I feel like about Nolan's movies, is he was kind of able to successfully do both, because he introduces Ra's al Ghul in the first movie, and that comes all the way back around in the third movie. So, but he's able to also make it into an origin story. It's almost wholly takes place in like the League of Assassins and Gotham, and that's what we get. But he's able to build up Batman. Meanwhile, at the very end, we get the tease of Joker, and at the very beginning, we got the tease of the end, but we didn't know it at the time.
Yep, and every single film can work standalone, which is another thing that I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for.
Yeah, no, I've shown people The
Although,
Dark Knight so many times, and they're like, "Oh, this is sick. Is there another one?" Oh, there's not only another one, but there's one before it that we didn't watch.
yeah. Also, still bitter about that Robin tease that obviously never came of anything. But
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck it is with the DC movie universe that fucking hates Robin, but here we are. Where still to this day, I think the only live action Robin we've had, other than that shitty Titan TV series, was the
Chris
one in
O'Donnell,
with
baby.
fucking George Clooney. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was in that one, and then it's weird. I feel like we've had Batgirl more than we've had Robin at this
Fuck,
point.
we didn't even get the last Batgirl. God damn, they still are just keeping that on the shelf. Yeah, fuck it. Movie's done. Just release it. What the fuck? Who
Yeah,
cares?
it's so weird how like eponymous like Batman and Robin is to each other, but at this point we've hardly gotten like any live action Robin with Batman. It's super interesting to me that how we've kind of like erased them from like the live action versions, and for some
Like
reason
we
they just won't touch
constantly,
it.
yeah, like we constantly have like talks of like each generation's Spider-Man or each generation's Batman or Superman, but like sidekicks tend to get like the fucking middle finger in live action adaptations, and it's the wildest thing
It's
because
absolutely the wildest thing.
because we can't get to Nightwing until we explore Robin. I mean,
Yeah,
I suppose we could, but it's not the same. And we
exactly.
can't get to Red Hood. We certainly can't get to Red Hood without fucking exploring Robin.
Yeah, and like a lot of that works because we had like a previous Robin, and yeah, so that's the weird thing about it, right? Because in order to get good stories for Robin down the line, you have to establish Dick as Robin. You have to do his run and know like the trauma there between Bruce and his first apprentice. And then you have to have Jason so that you know the trauma there. You have to have Tim so that you know the trauma before you get to Damien, and then know like how that relationship wholly works. It's one of those weird things. You really have to start from the front, or you don't understand like why, uh, what happens with the next one.
And that's why I wanted to like the live action Titans they did, because I did adore Titans, not just Teen Titans, you know, because that's the first thing that most mainstream audiences think of is the Teen Titans series, which I did adore that. Don't get me wrong, but I did like also proper, you know, Teen Titans comics as well back in the day, back when we had like Donna Troy and Speedy and all that.
Uh-huh.
And it's just kind of one of those fascinating things that I feel like that 2000s Teen Titans series overshadows so much of what Titans should be that we don't get a lot of those stories. And so I was excited to kind of see it almost felt like a more original lineup when they did the live action Titans. But god damn, it felt so fucking cringe. It was just such an uncomfortable forced watch, at least for the first couple episodes
Yeah, I
of the
think I
Titan
checked out like the
series.
first one or two episodes, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't think this was made for me. I think this was probably made for a different viewing audience."
And I suppose that's an interesting question. I mean,
It gave YA vibe,
it
like young adult kind of like content.
yes. And that's what I'm so afraid of when it's going to come to when we finally get Young Avengers, which we'll get to Marvel news a little bit later when Adrian's back, because there was a big announcement today with
Right.
Marvel as well. Rip.
Good for them.
But when Young Avengers does happen, I'm so afraid of that happening because Miss Marvel already felt kind of in that realm. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the side, which I'll at least give Marvel credit, they are doing sidekicks in their series, and trying to consistently keep building a world around shit. Um, but at the same time, it's just like I don't know what the audience for Young Avengers is going to be other than the hardcores, because there's not going to be like a younger audience who you're going to be like, okay, all of these characters have backstory. Fuck it, we're going to drop you right into this Young Avengers series. Here you go.
I'm telling you, they have to do it. They have to start off with them getting their asses kicked. That's the only way that you endear them. They have to
Yeah,
get their asses fucking pulverized.
basically season one, a fucking beatdown. Also, real quick, can I just say, I'm fucking tired. As I mentioned before, you know, I've been watching Agatha all along, and still I'm having a lot of fucking fun with it.
Yeah.
Unironically, the most fun MCU thing in a long fucking time. I've been having a great time with it.
And one of the things
Um,
in the MCU that's like super ingrained to other stuff that's come before. We haven't had that in
yes.
a smooth minute besides Deadpool and Wolverine, but that has nothing to do with the MCU really. It's like other
No,
side Marvel
but
stuff.
truly, you miss out if you hadn't seen WandaVision. It is basically a
100%.
sequel to WandaVision,
Yeah.
which also I will defend WandaVision to my dying breath. I don't know why people fucking hate on it, but WandaVision was fucking chef's kiss. I don't give a fuck. Um, but I'm so fucking tired of Marvel tickling my balls and making reference to Blackheart, but we still don't have Blackheart.
Right.
How fucking dare you? You keep tickling. You keep threatening me with Blackheart, and we still don't have Blackheart.
Man, my big thing is like they have so much stuff that like my conspiracy brain is like, ooh, they could totally link this into Midnight Sun somehow. Ooh, Werewolf by Night. Ooh, they could totally link this into Midnight Suns. Like, oh, they're setting up all this paranormal, like witchy shit. Oh, they could totally link this into Midnight Suns. And I guess it kind of leads into a story with it's multiple layers. So something happened, and I seen that cause Marvel to want to push ahead Midnight Suns. So
Mm.
maybe we get it. Maybe I'm being
Well,
hopeful.
I don't know because I suppose we'll say no. Fuck, we'll talk about it here because we're already talking about it now that Adrian's back. So one point of news. Shout outs to my homie Blade. Wesley Snipes was not lying when he said he's still going to be the only Blade, as it has been delayed indefinitely.
So my hope is that's because they're gonna start it with Midnight Suns and then do solo movies. Because the elementals, the
Eternals.
Eternals sets up Midnight Suns. Because I guess you could do like a buddy cop movie with Black Knight and Blade, but my copium is that's Blade being like, I'm putting together a team, motherfucker.
Yeah, but
And
let's also be honest. Who fucking watched the Eternals?
I mean, I like the Eternals.
Um,
They could have
The-
stopped slavery, and they didn't.
that
I know, they
hey
want that to happen.
that
They want to see those pyramids built, man.
that the last shots in it were super dope though.
No, that last shot with Airmesh was, fuck, what's his name?
Erisham?
Irisham? Yeah, Irisham, the
The
something like
judge?
the judge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was dope. Like when he speaks and all the clouds just.
Yeah, and I'm
and
like,
everyone
no,
just hits the ground.
yeah, no one else like didn't point that shit out. Like, we're fucked. Like, what the fuck is that? Like,
and I think honestly, it's gonna link into the new Captain America a lot as well.
Yeah,
So
it will.
people should go watch it.
I'm of both minds. I think we should do a Midnight Suns, but also like I feel like that's a little bit too Justice League-y for me. Where it's like let's do the combination thing and then spread it out afterwards. But I mean, you also
that's how Avengers was. I mean, Avengers was super Justice League-y.
no, but I mean like how Avengers did the opposite, where it's like let's do the solo films and then do the team up. Whereas
I just don't think we.
Yeah,
have
like
the
even
time.
Yeah,
Defenders
that's what I was
got
gonna say.
build up with a few seasons.
that's what I was gonna say. Is to make that happen. No, you're looking at like 7 or 8 years ahead of time for that to happen. In which
Well,
case, it's like
the way I look at it, I think we have kind of had that, right? So we've had the Eternals, we've kind of gotten used to Dane a little bit. So Black Knight there, Blade, we just know who Blade is. That's like of the cultural mind at this point. Moon Knight,
Especially
had his
after
own
recently with
series.
Deadpool.
Yeah, especially after Deadpool. Moon Knight had his own series. Doctor Strange has had 2 movies, been in a bunch of. The
oh,
others.
who's your lineup?
I would like Moon Knight, Black Knight. Well, pretty much the ones we've talked about, plus Ghost Rider would be sick. And then Elsa Bloodstone from Werewolf by Night. Toss in Werewolf too.
You wouldn't bring back Lobo? You wouldn't have that be the introduction to Lobo?
Nah.
No,
Man
fuck
Thing
that.
would be cool. Have Man Thing as like the Hulk character.
Yeah.
Ted, I think that was his name, Ted.
Oh, from Deadpool?
Or Werewolf by Night.
Oh,
The-
gotcha.
The dude with the tendrils.
No, I'd say fuck it, and you just skew the lore a bit, and you bring in the fucking dude from Deadpool. Fucking his name is escaping me right now. But the one where it's like every Deadpool has a hymn that
Peter
they all
Pool.
fucking adore. Yeah, Peter. Yeah, you fucking
Okay.
bring in Peter. He gets in there too.
So my hope for that is as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do Spider-Man and Deadpool. That's gonna be his Peter in the MCU.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Imagine if that. Okay, like weird absurdist theorizing here. Okay, so we have Venom somewhere lurking in MCU. What if that's the Venom MCU film is also the fucking Spider-Man Deadpool film?
Well, what if it's Peter
God, I
Quill?
love it. That'd be cool. I think that'd be a funny. So I don't know, because the whole funny thing about Peter and Deadpool is Peter gets along with everyone besides
Except him.
Deadpool.
Yeah. I was telling,
Yeah.
I had to tell the girlfriend that we're, because I was doing the Spider-Punk costume and she was like, yeah, then Deadpool, they're friends. I'm like, no. One of them is a friend of the other.
Peter's like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Deadpool wants to be his friend. And then I
One
guess
is a
Storm
golden
up there,
retriever,
too.
and the other one hates dogs.
Right. And then it's kind of the same way with Storm. Storm does not like Peter, but Peter like just wants to be everyone's friend.
Fair.
Oh god, I love it. But yeah,
Fucking,
so no
I
Blade,
hope we
but
get-
hopefully, I'm hoping we get Midnight Suns. And see, that would be perfect to set up Blade, too.
R-rated
We could
film,
set up
Midnight Suns, can you
vampires, we
imagine?
can have rated R, because that's the big thing going on in like the main 6160 Marvel comics is like vampires are kind of like the main big thing going on right now after Blood Hunt. So they could easily set that up with Dracula. That'd be really cool. Go into like a Dark Avengers after Secret Wars.
I don't know. I'm. We'll see what happens. I'm still cautious on what's gonna happen. MCU has recently not had the greatest of track records, and I'm still concerned about Fantastic Four. I don't give a fuck about Fantastic Four themselves, but I am a Doom bro, and I just for once want a good fucking Doctor Doom, and I'm so concerned with that still. With everything that's been going on, I'm so concerned.
I'm just I like what Matt Shackman has done, the director for it. So I'm hopeful because he did WandaVision.
What has he done?
So. He did WandaVision, and
Oh.
he's done. He did. I know he did a bunch of episodes for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, because that was the connection people were
And-
thinking Glenn Howerton would
Okay.
work as.
And if I am not mistaken, isn't it the set designer of Loki is doing Fantastic
Yeah.
Four?
Yep.
So it should
Ooh,
look good.
okay. So they do have people that can cook.
It's Kevin Feige has been like talking about this like it's his baby. It's like straight up like they're like, hey, how about Captain America or Thunderbolts? It's like Fantastic Four is fucking amazing, y'all. Like he's just like jumping over. He's like Fantastic Four, like you could like he's gonna be all hands on deck trying to make sure that shit hits. Thunderbolts and Captain America be damned, because he's like on board for Fantastic Four. So fingers crossed. But yeah, that's how it looks.
That's another thing. I think Thunderbolts were still something's going to get revealed there.
Is Venom this week or next week?
This week. I
Next
believe.
week.
Next
No,
week.
it's, I think it's next week because it has. Oh shit! No, you're right. It is this week.
All right, well,
So I remember it lining up with our trip. No, I remember it lining up with our trip because I actually asked my partner. I'm like, "Do we try to like get the four of us to go see Venom this weekend?"
I want to go get
Yeah,
the bucket
24.
before that too. I mean, I'm down, and there'll be a nice ass theater. there, I'm sure.
October 21st. Wait,
25th.
Oh yeah, so it does come out this. Yeah.
on Friday.
25th.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Oh, Los Angeles in parentheses. Okay. Yeah, so it is this weekend. So maybe that's one of the things we do while y'all are up here is we all go see Venom together, and you can
Venom.
experience the shittiness of main theaters.
Or we just do a nice one in fucking Boston. The fuck?
Absolutely not. We're not driving back down to Boston.
No, while we're there.
While we're there, I don't know. It depends on when the fuck y'all show up. When are you all showing up?
We're aiming to be there Friday, if we can. We're doing standby, like I said. Remember?
I mean, you better be there for Friday. That's when the fucking concert is.
That was Saturday.
No,
All right, hold on.
concert's Friday, my dude.
I thought it was. Hold on. Is it?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, October 25th at Boston Wang Theater.
I may have fucked up a lot of things. All right. Talk about your thing. I gotta make a phone call. Either way, we're a standby, so it doesn't fucking matter that much. But keep going.
Yeah, and I'll also double check my tickets because I see that they do technically have a Friday and a Saturday. But let me double check my tickets.
Okay, because I thought we ordered Saturday.
No, I'm pretty sure we're Friday.
Double check before I call.
I am double checking that right now. Where's my mail app? Because I have like 80 different emails now. Because my ass was like, I'm gonna use self-host email and obfuscate my shit. All right, near orchestra concert, end of data, validate on fucking Ticketmaster. That doesn't help me.
Pregnant pause.
Yes, it is the 25th.
Fuck me. Okay. Be back.
All right, so while he's doing that, to continue on my thought process, yeah, so I hope that Doom turns out okay. Again, I've never actually given a fuck about the Fantastic Four proper, but I fucking love me some Doctor Doom, so...
I was never like a huge fan until I got into the Ultimate Run, the original Ultimate Run, and then the Fantastic Four there were like a big piece of it. They're like the centerpiece, and I kind of felt like it was weird, and it was one of those things like, what's going on here, and like why are they being pushed as like one of the big centerpieces for this push? And nowadays we kind of see it because they wanted to go with the Maker with Reed after 10 years running that story. That was something that they led to. If it was something they had planned, who knows, but that's where they ended at. And so that run really made me see like, okay, this is a whole lot more than Doom, because that I was the same way. It's like Fantastic Four, cool, guy turns on fire, guy made out of rock, oh, that's cool. But this guy over here, this guy's cool. Tin Man that has magic powers, fuck yeah, give me some of that.
He's got such a fucking good deep lore to him. Sorry,
Yeah.
you keep going.
No, you're good. And it wasn't until that Ultimate Run where you're like, okay, there's some sauce here that you can cook with the Fantastic Four. But yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think a lot of it does hinge on the acting in general from individual performances, which I think they really nailed with the casting, so I'm not scared there. But it is one of those things like we don't know if Robert Downey is the Doom in this universe, what they're what they're trying to hide with that and how that's going to work. So we don't know the story there, because I've seen stories that said like Doom won't be in this movie at all. It's just going to be like a straight up like origin story, which that would, in one sense, I wouldn't mind that, because I feel like it's one of those things we are kind of expecting it. We're like, okay, where's Doom at? And I don't know.
My hope, and because when they revealed Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, I was really fucking pissed. My hope is that it ties into the multiversal bullshit.
Yeah.
Where we're gonna get the fucking big Doom battle planet, and what I'm hoping is that leads into the MCU 616 proper Doom also being introduced, and we get like little tidbits of almost like the beginnings of Emperor Doom, where he's like, no, this Doom imposter, fuck that. There's only one Doom, and it is the true ruler of Latveria. And we get some Doom versus Doom action with the Doom that's running the whole fucking War Planet bullshit being Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. Jesus Christ, it's harder to say fast than you think.
It really
Fucking Christ. Where I hope it's his Doom that ultimately is defeated, perishes, and we get like an actually complex Doom in the MCU where he's basically an anti-hero, where he's kind of a prick and he's doing his own thing. Because I feel like that is the Doom that still to this day resonates most with comic audiences, where Doom's like a bad guy, but he like actually cares about his country, and like he still tries to do the best for his country. He's just kind of an asshole otherwise. And like, even over the years in comics, we've gotten like the spirit of the Black Panther being like, nah, if he ruled the world, it actually would be a better place, but nah, fuck him. Like, we've had so many stories like that where it's like, fuck, dude was kind of right, but nah, fuck him. And I hope that's what we kind of built to with the MCU. I know I'm saying that as a Doom fanboy, but like, I hope Robert Downey Jr. is there just to be an actual evil Doom that does the Doom Planet bullshit. And then he gets off and actual MCU 6 or the 616 equivalent of the MCU fucking knocks him off, and we get that.
Well, I mean, it has to be because right, his budget, his cost for this was so insanely high. It's like you can't keep that going at that rate. Like, right, it's probably just to get people back in on that.
I'm still firmly in the belief that they're just gonna riff on the Ultimate run that's going on, but I also 100% agree with you. I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna be like, they're gonna have him set up as kind of like in name only Doom, and then they're gonna have the actual Doom come in and like step in, be like, no,
because
that's how we're doing it.
Because it's kind of what we were originally going to do with Kang. We had so many Kangs going on, and we were going to build to this big
It
story.
would explain his Doom
with
thoughts
Kang.
too. If we have Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, it could be a riff on Tony Stark / Doom. He doesn't even have to be Victor Von Doom. He can be Tony Stark, but he takes up the mantle of Doctor Doom because he thinks
Exactly.
he's or something.
Also, Marvel, where you're doing multiversal shit, don't be cowards. Give me $20.99. I need it. I need it in my life. I need Miguel O'Hara Spider-Man. I need $20.99 Doom. I need it all.
Vampire Spider-Man. I'd love that shit.
Hell yeah. I need all of it. Give it.
I hope they really dive into that with the next Spider-Verse movie.
So
they kind of hint at it a little bit.
I managed to. She was already looking for Thursday flights. Luckily, we're gonna try to bump it a little earlier. But thank God I mentioned something because I thought for sure. I remember seeing it on both nights. I saw it on both. So that's why I panicked because when I'm thinking about it, I was like, I have to take Monday off, right? Because I'm gonna go to your house. We can't be done with the show Saturday. Go back Sunday. So that's why I was like, all right, I guess take the Monday off. I didn't book the days out. Luckily, almost did today, but.
It's funny because earlier when you said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be there for a day," I'm like, "No, you're gonna be here for the whole weekend. What the fuck are you talking about?" And then I'm like, "Oh well, maybe he's not counting Saturday because there's drive time and all that other shit. So Sunday's like the one to like actually kind of relax, have fun day. Whereas there's a little bit of
that'll probably be not
Saturday.
happening. We're gonna see. It's probably not gonna happen. It'll probably just be Friday. I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and leave Sunday. Probably is
okay.
The thing because I can after this last one, I can piece out my 2 personal days somewhere there, but like
if you need to recoup the day, I get that entirely.
But also kids, like I can't just I mean, I wish.
I mean, it's fine. The sub just throws the video on, and
if we had subs.
You know what? Fuck it. Send me down in your place. I'll sub for the day.
Sure. You will scare some of them, so that's fine.
I'll set your kids straight. It's fine.
Yeah, so I'm so glad because I knew there was Saturday and I assumed it was Saturday. Thank God I asked.
Yeah, fucking kudos. Goddamn. All right. So yeah, no, it is Friday, which is why we're doing Blue Man on Thursday because after you said that you guys were coming down Friday, I'm like, oh, okay, they're just gonna be there for concert day, and then we'll head back up here. So that's why we booked that, assuming you guys weren't gonna be there for Thursday.
Usually I'm the cool, calm, collected one. So when I called her panicky about it, she was super cool about it. So the thing about the standby flights is you got to know super last minute anyway. So it's like that I'm just kind of upset at myself now for not checking ahead of time because I prepped my kids for me being gone Monday and said I'm gonna be gone Thursday, Friday, which is whatever. They'll live. Anyway, so did we get everything everyone got besides me?
Yeah.
Did you have any comments on the Marvel stuff?
No, Blade's never happening.
It's cursed.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on Agatha All Along or anything else?
I haven't started it yet.
It's honestly so.
I know. It's gonna be good. I'm super excited to watch it, but
it's very good so far.
I've had so much on my plate.
I'm really interested to see how they do. Never mind, it might be spoilers.
Fair. Okay. Real quick, got Balatro. Shout out to Balatro.
Ooh, nice.
And then
got it
I,
on Switch. All right.
yeah,
Good
I
call,
ordered
good call.
this on VGP with it, and I was excited because I got it back in like June, so I finally got this. I got that Final Fantasy
Ooh,
collection
nice.
that took way too
Yeah, I
fucking
got
long
mine
to
on
get to.
Switch as well.
Yeah, it took way too long to get to because of me having to wait for Balatro, but worth it, absolutely. All right. What'd y'all play?
All right, I guess we'll start with me. Seems like we're talking about Balatro. So I played Balatro. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
It reminded me again that I hate roguelikes.
I'm surprised you
I
hate
love
roguelites because
poker.
that's what I'm saying. It's
I
like,
love poker, and
especially
so
the math and like the serotonin you get from like how big everything builds.
no. Let me cook here. So here's the thing. I fucking love poker. I have gone to gambling events and casinos and shit and done gambling. And I make an okay amount of money usually when I go play poker. I stop myself at a certain point because unfortunately gambling problems do run on a side of my family. And so because of that, I stop. Because I know when I'm starting to get that now, let's keep pushing my luck. I know that feeling. And I've learned to be like, no, I've won money. We're going to leave now. Otherwise, it would end disastrously. So I'm usually actually pretty decent at poker. And I think there's only been like 3 times that I've left a poker table and not won money. And so I try to avoid it. And initially, Balatro hit that itch. And my issue with it is the roguelike elements hit way too hard. Because you get to a certain point in the game where it doesn't matter how fucking good you are at poker. It entirely matters on the randomly generated enhancement bullshit. It is literally impossible to win a run unless you get specific cards that give you certain advantages. And I fucking hate that.
I like building.
I hate having my time wasted about that shit.
I like building it. There's like a meta to it though too, which is kind of interesting. It's
There's
like,
a meta, but that's the problem. It's not a meta that you can skillfully build to. It is random. There are so many runs that I lost just because I got fucked because the math doesn't work out. The way that it built, no matter how good you are at the poker element, it doesn't fucking matter
numbers,
because you
David.
need specific abilities in order to enhance and multiply your abilities to get further on in the game. It is literally impossible to win the game by just being good at poker. And it is literally impossible to win the game with like basic tier abilities. You have to grind enough to unlock the actually useful abilities, and you have to wait until you get a run where those abilities unlock. Mathematically, it is impossible otherwise, and I fucking hate it. The only time I had fun with the game was when I finally unlocked the goddamn deck that's like, hey, face cards, fucking throw them against the wall. You don't need those. Your deck is only 40 cards now. Because then that drops all the statistics down to controllable numbers. Again, borrowing my fucking control player brain from fucking TCGs here, going from 52 cards to only 40 cards is an amazing leap in statistics. Going from like, okay, there's the probability of like a 1 in 8 chance or like a 1 in 16 chance of pulling off the card combo that would actually allow me to win in this scenario. So like, okay, it's now a 1 in 4 chance or a 1 in 8 chance for like the more unlikely scenario win is fucking astronomical. So having those control
reminds me of Marvel Snap though, where way back when America Chavez's ability was you always draw that card on turn 6, the final turn.
Yeah.
And no one it was like the most popular card by far, but it was like not used. It was only used like very rarely if it was like, oh well, you have nothing in your hands to use it. But it was only used in there just because it thinned your deck a little bit. So like You had people didn't know the math. They're like, why is this used so much? People, you just see the math people, and they're like, well, statistically, if you cut this in half, you have a higher chance of getting your cards because it thins your deck because you're only able to shoot that. And you know if you by turn 5, you know if you have your combo or not. You know.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, every TCG has that dork that has all the math worked out. You just go to
And
the
I
numbers.
am that dork because I heavily play Control.
Where's the
Good game.
spreadsheet? I need the spreadsheet.
Yeah. So I fucking hate Blotcher because of that. I put my time in. I think I put like a good 8 hours into it. I basically spent 2 nights binging it, and I have beaten several runs. I at least beat the second tier up of the difficulty settings. I almost beat the third tier, but I got fucked on a run. And I have 70% of the unlocks achieved. I fucking hate it. I played it enough to at least say I got my money's worth, but it again reminds me why I fucking hate roguelikes, because it's not skill-based. It is purely fucking luck. There are some roguelikes where they're okay. Enter the Gungeon, I understand 100% why people like it, because if you get okay enough at the game, you can kind of carry yourself regardless of how shitty your build is. But it does still hit a certain point where if you don't have the right build, it fucks you a bit. Binding of Isaac, I can kind of get why people like that. Again, if you get okay enough at the top-down twin-stick shooter, you can kind of work around the limitations of it all. In fact, it expects you to be that good because there are so many runs that depend on you only having one-hit death. So it kind of expects you to get that good. Dead Cells. It is a Metroidvania that also just happens to have roguelike. All right, perfect. Get good enough at the fucking Metroidvania part. The roguelike part doesn't matter. But anything that is like Nuclear Throne or this or anything that like heavily leans into the roguelike element, I can't fucking stand because it's not skill. It is legitimately just, oh no, fucking luck of the draw, whatever you get, asshole.
Yeah, I mean,
And
to be fair, the skill does come from aligning the right cards in the right placement and going
no,
from there.
it doesn't. Again, it doesn't matter how good you are at poker.
With
cannot
what
win.
working with what you got is what I'm saying. It's not.
No,
I understand that you're saying like the end game of finishing it, but like at least working with what you have, there is something behind that too. Because I can throw everything I want like that, and it's not. Like I can get the same exact hands through, and yes, I'm sure that yes, if neither one would win, but like I get the same exact hands, and if I don't purposely like piece together the certain things in a certain order,
you may be able to edge out like 1 or 2 earlier game victories by having a better grasp and understanding, but it is pure random. There is genuinely, at a certain point, no fucking combination of events that happen that can lead you to victory. It is just mathematically impossible, and that is my issue with it. I can't stand having my time wasted by shit like that. That is speaking as someone that loves Dynasty Warriors. That is someone that speaks as someone that loves 100+ hour RPGs. I can't stand having my time wasted. At least in Dynasty Warriors or stupid long RPGs, I'm always feeling like I'm progressing to something. Either an interesting story bit,
like the premise, like Dynasty Warriors, it's supposed to be a little bit mindless. Long RPGs, hey, this is gonna be long. I'm in it for like this long, expansive story. Meanwhile, Balatro, you're like, okay, fun little poker game, and then you're like, what the fun?
But
Where's
okay,
the fun
let me just play devil's advocate again because I do want to move past because I'm very tired. Devil's advocate, are TCGs also dependent on maybe you might not even draw something and a whole game could be moot just because of just really bad draws?
Depending on the TCG, yes, but there's a lot of TCGs like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh, etc., where you specifically design your deck around those possibilities, and there are ways to manipulate those possibilities. Again, Magic the Gathering has turn 0 wins. Yu-Gi-Oh has the current metagame of Yu-Gi-Oh. Not even talking about like legacy shit, but like the current, if you were to play today and get into it competitively, is designed around turn 1, turn 2 wins. Magic the Gathering usually is designed around like turn 3 to 5 wins.
But there's possibilities of it wasting time on that too, though. If you're
playing a controller player and designing around it, yes, theoretically, you could get into a situation where hypothetically, you literally draw nothing but mana. Depending on your mana base, you could be the unluckiest person in the fucking world. Your starting hand, 7 mana. The next 5 turns, you somehow draw nothing but mana.
Balatro, and again,
But-
I understand you don't like it. It is, and I mean, like, it's not like you're gonna win every time, but you get better chances of winning because of the consistency of that. But like
there's no consistency.
You will get higher scores depending on the layouts of things. Again, just depending on that. Like there is like an order to certain cards, depending on whether or not you do this one that's like, I will multiply the left, and you get a card that will like multiply this, that, and like if you shift around a little bit, like that will lower your score.
But that
again.
still relies you on the randomized aspect of potentially getting something in the shop that gives you that ability to do that. I've had so many runs where it's like, oh yeah, here's like a fucking planet. Or like, hey, here's like an arcane that's just like, oh no, fucking go ahead and fucking sell for the value of your jokers.
I see what you're saying. I'm just making a devil's advocate argument of like there is some, it's not inherently just like slot machines. It is like you do have to do something and still have to, whenever you get what you get.
You still have to understand the core mechanics of how the game functions to win. It's not like it's pure slot machines in that you can just click A and just pass through and still ultimately win the game. It still requires having a modicum of understanding of how math works. But that is a bare minimum bar of entry and a shitty fucking thing.
Sure.
When I can pull almost consistently a fucking royal flush almost every goddamn turn, and I still fucking lose because, I don't know, you didn't have enough multipliers. Or you have enough multipliers, but you don't have enough raw coin generation because, I don't know, we just didn't give it to you. Fuck you. Fuck off. You just have wasted my time.
Okay. I understand that. I think there's more to it than that, so I just disagree with the way you don't like it. I like it's just like you get thrown shit. I'm like, well, let me make the best of it and see what works with that. And it's like I've in my head built up like certain tactics that I'll use where I'm like, I will always use this. I'll always go for that. And like little by little, I'll get better at that. And yeah, you get curveballs sometimes where it's like, well, that was a bad draw. That was a bad draw. That happens. But like I personally get the ideas of like, because I've learned, I'm not a math person, right? But I've learned like specific ways of organizing the cards and doing things that like I've had progressively higher scores as my runs have gone on.
You know what? I'm gonna go to Kels for the tiebreaker. Kels, have you played Balatro?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so just speaking from a competitive TCG mindset, because you understand, or just competitive, TCG in general. You've played competitive TCGs. We've talked about it with Star Wars recently, and you certainly have a history of Magic. So we've talked about that before. What would be your thoughts on just a randomized TCG like that? What's your kind of feeling there?
No, see, this is a weird spot for me, right? Because I, in general, do like roguelites, roguelikes, whatever the fuck. But I definitely get where you're coming from because card games in general are already random. So whenever you're adding in another random multiplier on top of it, and you're already a person that doesn't like the randomness in general, it's a shit cake just being stacked on top of each other. And so
Yeah, because
I get the frustration.
Because I understand, like I've actually had some of my buddies call me a hypocrite for this, because I've talked about this on podcasts before. I fucking love drafting.
Yeah,
I fucking adore drafting, and for a lot of people, they view drafting in the same way of like, well, I mean, you're literally never guaranteed anything that you get.
I think what we're saying, and I think the caveat that's happening is that you're on a high because you know you should win because everything else worked out. All it takes is one factor of that to crumble it.
Yes.
Okay, like that, I understand that because like I feel like if you understand, like if you're on like a, I'm gonna win, I'm killing it right now. Oh, like 2 bad draws in a row and then you're fucked.
Well, not even the draws. Again, it's not about the draws. It's about the multipliers.
Shot. Yeah. So, but you could feel like you got maybe you even got multipliers really good, but your draws were bad, right? Like it's like it can go.
The draws don't matter. Okay.
Here's the thing.
Real quick, because I have to explain this. Because this is a key component. So I have to explain just one element real quick. I have to explain this because this is this is important to where my competitive background makes me hate this. I am a control player predominantly in TCGs.
Okay.
Control is literally about I control every single fucking element of how this game is gonna go. I play control because I don't care what your strategy is. I care about what my strategy is. My strategy is whatever you have in your deck, I'm throwing it against the fucking wall.
Yeah, so you're saying it's because
Fuck
it
your
doesn't let you
strategy.
have a strategy because it dictates your strategy.
Exactly. And that's where I get issues. Is because I can still plan around it. I can still be like, okay, I got like one of the things I actually unironically liked a lot was the one where it's like the multiplier is randomized. I'm like, fuck you, fun, that's kind of neat. I can kind of dig it. I can plan around that. But honestly, the only times I consistently did good is when I got like the card where it's like, okay, for every draw you don't use and for every discard you don't use, you get a multiplier bonus that stacks up high. Or like, hey, for every time you play a specific card type, or a hand type rather, it creates a constant multiplier onto that. So like every time I played a 2-pair or a full house or whatever, it would continue creating a consistent bonus. Or honestly, if I didn't get foils, sometimes if I didn't get foils that just added a consistent, here you go, here's an additional bonus. Or if I didn't even get the means to create bonus cards, like, I don't know, fuck you, here's just random 30 fucking points on top of things. The only time, and then again, it's part of the reason why I liked the whole fucking deck that's designed around getting rid of face cards for a few different reasons. One, it thins your deck. You get absolute control over a 40 card deck versus a 52 card deck. Because especially with the discard functionality, you can more precisely control what elements you're playing, what you're going to go through. But also, it removed 2 of the weird random boss modifiers. Because there's one boss modifier that's like, all your face cards are played face down, or there's one where it's like all your face cards are played at lesser values. And that's the other weird shit, is like the whole fucking element of the boss element. Because even if your deck and you're getting like a decent okayish deck built up, there can sometimes be like, I don't know, this boss just suddenly decides that you need like 2 times the points to actually beat this boss. Or you know what, fuck it, randomly, you have to beat this boss in one hand. The fuck you mean I have to beat this boss in one hand?
It's a challenge.
It's so funny hearing you approach it from like a TCG mindset than just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have fun here playing this video game.
Well, because I can't play it from a poker mindset.
Yeah.
Because again, I can easily manipulate the game to give me fucking straight flushes all goddamn day. That's not an issue. I can do that all goddamn day, every day, mathematically. But it can't. I have to treat it as a TCG because that's weirdly the way the game is designed.
Yeah.
And because of the roguelike elements, and so it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna approach it from a TCG mindset. But again, even as a control player TCG mindset, there's still so much catered to that randomized element that fuck off, I guess. So anyways, to fast forward, I vented my frustrations. The other game I played to go on the opposite side of the spectrum of fucking Balatro is I played a lot of Princess Maker 2 Regeneration.
Of course.
So for those not familiar with the Princess Maker franchise, the whole point of Princess Maker is that it's kind of like The Sims, except you're especially focused on just like, hey, you're a random hero that saved the kingdom. The gods decided to just give you a small child. Go fucking raise her. Enjoy, asshole. And that's the fucking game. I've talked about it a little bit before on the podcast, but it's a fascinating franchise. Princess Maker 2 has like 80 different fucking endings to it because they account for literally everything that could fucking happen that a player could choose to do. So everything from like your daughter ending up becoming too enamored with like being a barmaid and becoming a sex slave and getting sold into sex trafficking, to like you raise her to become a fencer and then she's like, now fuck that, and becomes like the world's leading like magic expert. There's so many weird, wild, insane bullshit things that can happen with this game. This is my first time like actually playing through the series. I've known a lot about the series for a long time because anyone that knows about PC98 especially, it's a very popular franchise on that platform. And I finally caved and was like, fuck it, I'm gonna give it a try with the PS5 version that came out. And the game is unfortunately very difficult at first because the game gives you no tutorial. The game gives you no information. It just is like, hey, here's the prologue of the story. Just fucking go. Go see how well you do raising this small child. And you play from ages 10 to 18 for your daughter. And it's all about just doing your best to raise her right. And the game gives you no information. So picture this. You boot up a game and someone's like, all right, you're going to raise this small child. It feels kind of like The Sims, except it's like a 2D version of it. And the very first thing you see after like you get into the game proper is like a D&D stat sheet. And you're looking at the stat sheet going, fuck does that do? What do these stats mean? And that's Princess Maker in a nutshell. So I fucked up a lot in my first couple playthroughs of it. Because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. My daughter kept becoming a delinquent, and she kept ignoring her studies. She would become a delinquent, would ignore her studies. At one point, she threatened to run off with the devil, one of the devils that show up there. And so I caved and I looked up a guide just to understand at least what the fucking stats do. And if anyone out there is listening and is like, I've been curious about the Princess Maker series because I know there's so many out there that have been curious about Princess Maker. Go look at the stats at least, because it became night and day how I approached the games before to now.
Nice.
And it's a lot of fun. It is fascinating because kind of like what I was talking about with like that visual novel that legitimately every entry in it takes like million years because the dev actually writes around the idea of you taking any potential action. That's how Princess Maker feels. Again, there's 80 fucking different endings in the goddamn game based around anything you can do. And I actually have a really good run going right now where my daughter's just an artist. She's a good little girl. She does fencing. She does a little bit of magic. But at the end of the day, she's going out and doing art. She's adding art to the world. And I'm happy with that. But yeah, I can't call the game fun, but I can call it fascinating. And it's genuinely more enjoyment than I got out of Balatro. So with that, Kels, what have you been doing for games lately?
Yeah, so my main one has been Metaphor.
If you said Balatro, that'd been so funny.
After denying he has any idea what it is.
Yeah, psych.
Psych, I love it. Fuck you. So I'm 35 hours into Metaphor now. Really enjoying it. I feel like I'm getting close to like the peak for Act 2. The climax for Act 2. I'm at the third like big dungeon. It's weird though. It's a dungeon, but it isn't a dungeon. It's like I get the sense that this is going to be a dungeon later, but what we're doing now isn't the full dungeon. Like,
right.
Yeah, I saw.
Like we're scoping it out.
I kind of like skimmed GameFAQs topics on it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want spoilers, but I just kind of wanted an idea at least of like if it was going to be like Persona, where it's like, no, you need to follow a guide to like actually 100% everything. But it feels like this game is a lot more lenient on you just exploring and kind of fucking around. And that was one of the things that was brought up. There are some dungeons with like, it feels like there should be more to it, but you get to it later, and I really got to fucking 40% alcohol per volume. Let's go.
Yeah, no, so far with the game, The only dungeon that I feel like there's no way you can do it on 1 day's time is the first one, and that's mainly because you probably just aren't leveled enough
Right.
for it. Because the main thing is MP, like your magic points, like your consumption of it and like conserving it, because you run out of that shit quick, and there's like little to no items. You can't buy items for it. You can pick them up though, and get rewarded them, but they're few and far in between. And so the only way to recover MP is to effectively leave the dungeon, and that moves the day forward. So if you leave it, you go back to the tavern, you rest for the night, and that's how you get like your health and MP back.
Right. Okay.
So essentially, in order to regen, you have to progress the calendar day forward a day, and it's the same thing as with Persona. You have to have X mission done by X day, right? So if you're on a timeline, it kind of sucks. But the only time I felt that crunch was with the first dungeon. After that, everything's been running pretty smooth. It doesn't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of like squeezing stuff in to get like 100%. But I'm also not to those kind of choke points where like my different skills will like uh, prevent me or keep me from getting X, Y, or Z thing. And of course, I just don't know because it's my first playthrough, new game. Not a whole lot of people might know. So it's been a whole lot of fun though. Loving it.
Nice. Did you ever do Silent? Did you? How far do you Silent Hill?
I am. I'm. I'm thinking I'm at the end of the apartments.
Okay.
With the mannequins
Nice.
where you first get the gun.
Yeah, and I want to play more, but at this point, I don't want to do the whole like play once this week and then play it again next week. You know, so I'm just gonna hold off, see where I'm at. That way, I can start binging it once I get back.
Yeah, and see, I was about to say it's one of those games that's really hard to binge. Like, I feel like it's one of those games that you kind of do have to kind of force yourself to get it done.
By
like
by
short
binge, I
spurts.
mean at least play it nightly finally instead of
Right.
just not.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those games like I'm like, okay, it's the weekend. I can just knock this game out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to be playing that game this week.
Which is good. That's what I want it to be. Which that's what
Yeah.
I always said is I want it to be a game that I don't want to actively like live in. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's just one of those games that's hard to do that with too. Like you're on it, like just on edge. Hands are sweaty, arms, knees, palms are sweaty, spaghetti sweaty,
Yeah,
sweaty
yeah.
spaghetti.
Anything
What have
else?
you been playing? Nope, that's it.
Nothing really. I'm still like on the fifth case of Ace Attorney. I want to knock that thing out. I might
Mm-hmm.
been little by little doing that. Um, every time I want to play, it's I gotta find a stop point because I have to have it Smash loaded up on it for my students because we got games still. Tomorrow's an
Right.
important day. We gotta play. We gotta
I
play.
gotta figure out where my volcano is gonna live. I still haven't figured that out.
Interesting.
We could go there, but
What's man saying? Jesus Christ! What a hunk. Okay.
this beer fucks.
Hell yeah. No, I was just talking. I've been still chipping away at the last case race tourney.
Oh shit! What else did Kel's play aside from Metaphor? Was that it?
That's it. I've been grinding away at that. That is a hefty game,
Hell yeah.
and like I said, I feel like I'm hitting towards that the Act 2 climax because it the structure of the story does still remind me a whole lot of like Persona, like the general gist of what you're doing, but you feel like there's more to it. Like where's the turn?
Okay.
Or maybe that's just me with the expectation, like waiting for like where's the turn at and kind of seeing where it could happen.
I'm excited for it. I didn't start it yet just because of the fact that I wanted to wait till Extra Life.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it starts to get to Extra Life season, I always hold off because I tend to like binge a lot of my like shorter games.
Yep.
So I don't want to like start a game, have to pause it for Extra Life, and then get back into it after.
Yep.
But
yeah, no, I was telling Adrian, I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. the job system is a whole lot of fun. It's one of those things like
Mm.
either I hope they carry that over. I don't know how they'd adapt it, but somehow, some way, I hope they do because it's a lot of fun. The whole the whole thing it's crux upon like you get the job, you level the job up, unlock the moves for the job, and then as you level other jobs up, you can then take moves from other jobs that you've leveled up, and it's called inheriting skills. So you can move those skills over to other jobs.
Oh, it's almost kind of like Final Fantasy Tactics or like Disgaea
Sure.
then.
Right. Yeah. So what I did is I went and leveled up my mage job. So then, if I'm doing like a physical attacker, I can just inherit like my fire skill, my ice skill, my whatever skill I need. Go level up your healer. You can get your heal or your heal all skills, and then you can move those to whatever other job that you're actually trying to do. So
Okay.
yeah, as I'm starting to get the swing of it, starting to get them leveled up, and it's all starting to click now. And it's kind of good because I'm getting to those bosses where it's like, okay, no, you have to do it a certain way. This guy powers up, you have to be able to knock him out of it. This guy,
Mm.
you have to beat in X amount of turns, or this guy will summon people after a certain amount of turns. This one has, I'm starting to figure out. It's all starting to click. It's all coming together.
So
All right. I'm cautiously optimistic for it.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, nothing else on my end. Let's knock out some news and get out of here because I gotta get some stuff.
Hell yeah.
Real quick, the Sakurai thing happened this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man spent many a Nintendo dollar making YouTube and apparently has another game on the horizon.
Yeah, 630,000 approximately to do that, which none of it was monetized, no monetization whatsoever. Dude just
Which
did
is
it for the
wild.
love of passing gaming forward, which is great.
Yeah, that's insane. That dude's a treasure.
I wonder if it was genuinely. I don't know. It's one of those weird corporate mindset things where I wonder how much of it was just genuine because it's like, no, fuck it, I'm going to do it for the love, and how much was Nintendo was like, no, if you start to monetize, we have to take some of that.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, good for him doing that whole thing and yeah, working on something. Looks like he took some time on this, but we'll see. Because yeah, the videos have been made for a while. He said these were like 2 years old videos, so he's been cooking away at something. We'll see. I'd be shocked if it was Smash, honestly though. Like I understand people are like it's Smash. I'm like I guess I simultaneously be shocked and not shocked, right? Because it's like I want him to move on. If he wants to move on, I would love for him to move on. But because I feel like Ultimate just like really a capstone of what
Ultimate.
you made. Yeah. So like let someone else take the realm like the helms and just do something else with it. But
The only reason I potentially think it could be Smash is just because at this point we inevitably have the Switch 2 next year. And I could see it being another situation where it's like, all right, we'll have Smash at the beginning of the console's life cycle and then just support it with DLC throughout the years.
right. But
I wonder if we live in a world where we don't get a new Smash and we just get more Smash Ultimate for Switch 2.
Oh, man, imagine if they just for Switch 2 were like,
They pull
okay,
Mario Kart
here's
Mario Kart 8.
yeah, where it's like, okay, the initial first run is like, hey, here's all the DLC bundled in, and then here's additional DLC.
I used to be before that. I mentioned this before. I used to be before that, but now I'm like, I would like a refresh because some of the cast I'm just over. I'm super over it.
To be fair, you also play that competitively, so I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My teams are doing amazing, but tomorrow we have two really important games. My fucking dude, I'm gonna jinx a little bit, but also like I don't really mind. Like I'm happy that we have it right now, but like my fucking varsity is number 1 and my B team is number 5 in state.
Nice.
It's like that's some killer shit right there. But if we win both of those, both varsity and the B team are top 4, so we'll see with that. But yeah, I don't know. Also, I was telling so we actually rehired one of our old players as a coach, which wasn't cool. But I was telling him like, look, I'm of one mind. Like, I love winning. Obviously, I want to take this. I want to keep going. But like, part of me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like 8%. I want to win 20%. I'm like, I kind of want them to hit us. I want them to make us lose because I think a few of my players need to get humbled a little bit and be like, you gotta start paying attention. My best player just doesn't want to VOD review too much. He's good. He could beat me consistently for sure. Like he's on
Yeah.
that moment. He can beat me. Like I have to like try hard to beat him. But he kind of gets in this like elevated attitude that he just knows he's really good, so he doesn't practice as much as he should. He's still coachable, but like just has a little bit of like, hey, VOD review this. I want to VOD review these matches. I'm like, all right, but we'll see. I don't know, part of me, I'm like, maybe we just take the hit now. Had a solid four game run so far. We'll bring it back and still do really well in playoffs, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, that was the Sakurai stuff. Anything else pop up?
I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the fucking Pokemon Terra leaks because there's been some wild shit. So putting aside the weird fucking horny like, oh no, Pokemon were just raping children, giving birth to fucking children babies. There's been some genuinely interesting things. So in the last couple, or in the last week rather, we've gotten source code for native PC versions of Pokemon.
Yeah, we talked about that last week for the PC versions.
Oh yeah.
For some of them, but like legitimately, every game after Sun and Moon has had a PC native.
So
port.
that tells us kind of what I said last time, where I figured that's kind of what they did. Because I think remember the insinuation was that we saw that and it's like, oh well, there's potential. I was like, no, I feel like that's just what they've been doing. Maybe you know what, and maybe it makes sense. Hold on. Is that why are they producing it on PC and that's why they just come up playing like ass on the actual consoles? Maybe
that's what I was about ready to get to say. Is that I feel like that's what's happening. Is like they genuinely are building for PC first, and then in a weird maneuver, porting to PC, porting the Switch. And the reason I say that, the Terra Leaker still has access to their GitLab repository.
He's not out yet.
The reason I say that is this was an interesting thing that happened last night into this morning. So Central Leaks, one of the big leaker people that have just been sharing the leaks from the Terra Leaker, has been getting like the Nintendo ninjas coming after them. And they've just been like really asinine about it and like, no, fuck off. We legitimately are doing nothing you can come after us for. And so one of the things they shared was, I guess, the Terra Leaker shared with them, and then they shared via Twitter. Yeah, they still have access to your GitLab, so like, why come after us? You should be going after them still, Lamau. And it's fucking fascinating. And it unironically, I feel like it's part of the reason that the game is optimized like that. But it's one of those weird things that Game Freak has a history of being shit programmers. No one talks about this enough outside of like the super hardcore Pokemon fans. But I've been following like competitive Pokemon for a while now for a side project I'm working on. And it's kind of one of those fascinating things that Game Freak from the beginning has never been good at programming. And it's wild to think like how bad they are as coders. Because we think of like Pokemon, especially nowadays. Pokemon is the most money generating franchise in the world, just full stop. There is no other money making machine that tops Pokemon, and they spend so few dollars in comparison to everything else they do on the games, and it's wild to see how shittily optimized their programming is, because there's just from the beginning decades of shit coding. And it's so hard to say if part of the issue is just genuinely they build for PC first and then port to Switch, or if like it's a weird thing where like Game Freak wanted to do a PC release and Nintendo keeps telling them no. That's the key factor. There's no like email or anything to tell us what's going on, but like a lot of people are genuinely wondering if that's what's happening. Is Game Freak really wants to do PC releases, but because Nintendo owns like a third of the company, they keep having enough voter power to say, fuck you. Because imagine a Pokemon gen that hits Steam. Fucking imagine the money that fucking prints. Unironically,
Power World.
if all of a sudden Lord Gaben is like, you know what? Welcome to our platform, Pokemon.
I feel like everyone would buy it just out of just having done it, right? It's like when the original Pokemon games came to 3DS Virtual Console, like they sold pretty well just because like I was like, oh, that's cool, I'll buy that.
The only reason I get why they don't, or at least why I'm presuming they don't, is just because as soon as it hits natively on PC, you can't control what happens to the game anymore. The second it's on PC, modders are doing whatever they want.
Yeah, but they're doing that regardless with like ROM hacks and shit.
I mean, they're doing that
think
regardless.
that's
Like
the
even
situation.
Sword and Shield and Diamond and Pearl remake and all that have ROM hacks.
Yeah.
That's why I'm actually gonna eventually work on getting some Japanese release only Switch games because there's fan translations even for some Switch games. So I'm like, yes, give me. I will legally rip my Switch game to go ahead and do that because Switch games are one of the few things I don't like pirating. I have said this many times on the podcast. Piracy is always ethical. I will always stand by that statement. But when it comes to newer games like PS4, PS5, Switch, etc., I get a little bit more squirrely with pirating, and it's just because of the fact that it's so easy to spot honeypots. To go onto a tangent real quick.
Tangent.
If any of you try to pirate or try to obtain My Little Pony Friendship is Magic recently?
Nope, can't say I have.
I'm going to presume the answer is no for either of you.
Yeah.
But my partner really enjoyed Friendship is Magic. And she's made me curious about it because I am a Star Trek new Next Generation fan. And Q
That's a
plays
funny
one of the characters in that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, all right, fuck it. I like Tom Delancey. I'm kind of curious what Tom Delancey could be doing here. And it's an example of a honeypot. Because all of my usual places only have one seater. Whenever you find a situation like that, where no matter where you look, there's one fucking seater, that's a honeypot, my friend. And that kind of is what happens with a lot of Switch games. The other unfortunate thing is I do geo-blocking on my network, which also pisses off my partner sometimes. So China, Russia, the Middle East, Africa, the entire continent of Africa, most of South America, and a few other regions, I geo-block from my network. Which unfortunately pisses off my partner because she works in marketing and that makes her life a little bit of a frustration at times. But I block those networks specifically because I'm not fucking trusting anyone from those fucking networks on my goddamn potentially seeding from my bandwidth. Fuck off.
This man
but-
seeds.
This man does seed. This man also networks to a little. I'm not great at networking. I'll fully admit, full stop. My boss is a fucking networking genius. This is part of the reason I have a lot of respect for my boss, even though he is 10 years plus my younger. He is a mastermind with networking. And that has always been my blind spot as an IT person, is networking, because I've always had someone else to fuck with that. And honestly, even for my own home projects, I'm like, I don't need to learn that skill set. Fuck it. I'm going to go bug my boss for advice on it. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm like, I need to get into Black Arch more and get into a lot of that. And it's part of the reason I got my Flipper Zero, so I can start fucking more with stuff like that. But networking has always been a blind spot of mine. I'm working on a networking cert right now for it. But it is one of those things that I'm just going to do whatever is like blanket the most secure option. And unfortunately, blocking everything but just about the Five Eyes territories is like the safest bet. And then adding in some of the non-Five Eyes territory, like Sweden and a few others. but I've gone on so many side tangents. I'm sorry, but all that is to say is I don't trust a lot of people that are seeing those, and because of that, when you narrow down all of like the Russian servers, the Chinese servers, and all the
Yeah, all the
Brazil
brown people in
servers,
the world, we get it.
yeah, all the countries that don't actually care about copyright, and tie that back in. The reason why Centro doesn't care about Nintendo's Ninjas is Centro is based out of South America.
Oh, okay.
And coming after someone in South America is like coming after someone in Russia or China. Who gives a fuck in those countries about your goddamn copyright law? I said country when I refer to South America. It's a continent. Brazil is specifically the country they're from. Anyways. Holy fuck, these are hitting hard.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stop rambling. Kels, what did you play? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that happened a while.
That
Happened a while ago, David. Hey, Kels, I do want to regret to inform you that DSP tweeted saying the Lake House DLC for Alan Wake 2 is awful. It's only 3 hours long, only a tiny bit of new story. It doesn't matter. Overly annoying amount of enemies. Ultimately, a waste of time.
I mean, you could be like that person that was so anti-Silent Hill because it was just a slow-paced third-person shooter.
Good.
You know, honestly, I'd be fine with the lake house being short as long as we get more story to it. And
DSP is kind of stupid.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was about to get to. He's a notorious dipshit, so I'm thinking that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I'm sure it's 3 hours, but I'm sure there's a lot of shit. Like Night Springs was short, but the consequences of that is fucking massive when it comes to the story.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping here. I'm hoping he's just a dipshit.
Why do they have the fucking the quantum? That's quantum break. That's weird, guys.
Yeah.
They're weird.
So I'm gonna throw this to both of you now, because Adrian, Adrian is the closest I have ever come to kind of trusting with my personal taste, because usually at least like 7 times out of 10, Adrian gets it right with my interests, which is more than most people in my life. But with you both here, unironically, what do you think my odds are of actually liking Alan Wake 2?
Okay.
I'll let Adrian go first.
No, I think I want to talk this out actually.
Yeah, sure. I just like my easiest like. I think this game, if advertised correctly, if it came out physical on time, blah 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 blah, it could have been the game that kind of defines like a console generation. You could slap this all over PS5 marketing and been like, come experience this shit on PS5 with the binaural audio, Sony headphones, blah 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 blah. This game looks impressive, plays impressive. It's a visual spectacle. Has Hollywood level acting in it. I mean, it's everything that you would want as like a centerpiece, right? And it really baffles me as to why it's not.
Well, I mean, I think it's. I do think the digital. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? It's like that the way it rolled out digital only. I think that's gave it a ceiling, but I think being a sequel to a game that's not as widely known, you know, like Silent Hill 2, you get away with it because everyone knows what Silent Hill is.
Yeah, but I think the way, like, because they had was it remastered or
yeah, but even and yeah,
like,
and
with it.
Yeah,
I think
it's
that you can wholly play this game almost without playing the first one.
Yeah,
and I think if anything, this one makes you want to go back and play the first one.
And there've been plenty of people that say that because the game is built literally 2 halves, where it's one half, and they're both still entertaining for people that have played it, but one half is built literally to ease you into this world, and the other half is just full on like balls deep. Let's just get fucking weird, and it's like you can go at either pace that you want. You can do the whole like. Which I think a lot of people, I have a feeling that if you look at the stats, I'm sure that people that didn't know what the fuck was going on did Saga's story first, the entirety, and then went back and did Alan's. But you can
I saved Alan's purely because the fucking shadow ghost scared the shit out of me. I'll deal with these fucking weird cult people. Those shadow ghosts whispering at me. No, sir.
I think you would at least appreciate just like where Alan Wake 1 was to where Alan Wake 2 goes. Like it's kind of like you know all that potential that you think Alan Wake could have had but it's like the gameplay just stumped it.
Yes,
And
because that was my frustration with real quick. That was my frustration. Is I saw where Alan Wake could go, but I hated it from a gameplay standpoint. And Alan Wake American Nightmare felt like the closest of like fitting that gameplay to story narrative. There were still some elements I thought were fucking dumb as hell in American Nightmare. But I'm like,
on the right path.
Closest to feeling like an enjoyable experience. Yeah, exactly.
You're lagging a little bit, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, I know what I was kind of getting at is like I feel like with the right marketing, this game could have been like one of the games that people talk about, and like I don't understand why it wasn't pushed as that, because I feel like the stars aligned with this game. Like there's a lot of good things to be said about this game, and I don't feel like it was maybe marketed right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it marketed at all? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That too.
Like,
it was marketed.
like,
It was marketed.
someone-
It was marketed like in the say it plays and everything, but I just
He was
think
in Fortnite.
yeah, I think you know what, I do think not being on Steam did hinder a lot though too.
Oh yeah,
like that was a big
100%. Like it releasing on PC only, but to Epic, that immediately killed a lot of the PC base.
But
like for
it's a double-edged sword though, right? Like yeah, you lose a lot, but it would literally have not been made without Epic though. So it's like it's two ends of that. It's like we either got the game and it's stuck there, or we didn't get the game at all, right? And so like we can hope that maybe it does expire out. I don't know if it will, because now that we're a year in and it got released physically.
we have it physical now. Yeah, we're fine.
I don't know if it's gonna pop onto Steam ever. If it does, that'd be fantastic. But I don't know if it will. I think that's a big hindrance. I think this game could have caught on like a lot more wildfire just being on the top of the charts for Steam. But it wouldn't have been made otherwise. So like they were very clear saying this is made because of the funding that Epic made, and it didn't even make all that much of it back. But they were like, we were able to go crazy with it because of the funding they put.
They didn't make really anything back. So I remember there was an article a while back talking about how they still hadn't even made their money back.
It's the fast selling Remedy game though too. So that studio is in general just kind of a niche studio.
Which is what's
it's a niche studio
with the right marketing. I feel like this game could be huge.
Right.
Like, why was this game not like showing off everywhere? Why was this not like?
So, I guess real quick to rephrase my question. So Adrian is able to answer this a little bit more intimately because fuck, he and I have been friends for like fucking.
If I say if you heard
improved gameplay, I feel like this gameplay here is like smooth as butter.
Yeah.
So take like a lot of what's good.
So what I'm looking for is I don't necessarily need the gameplay to be like smooth as butter because Silent Hill, Fatal Frame, etc. But I would like it to be more cohesive because playing the original Alan Wake and then going into American Nightmare certainly. So here's my thought process. Kells, you weren't here for this. This was pre-Kells. This was pre-golden era of this podcast.
Silver Age.
So my issue with Alan Wake is that with Alan Wake 1, the gameplay was fucking trash. It fucking controlled heinously. I hated the battery mechanics and everything else in it. American Nightmare made it more fun and engaging. But even beyond that, I really hated how disjointed it felt. Because you have this kind of element where, again, just as genuinely a horror fan as I am, the fucking multiple platitudes and the multiple fucking parallels to like Stephen King and other similar writing works, I'm like, yeah, I fucking get it. I've enjoyed shit like this my entire fucking life. I don't care. It's fucking boring. And then to get to the end, it's like, yeah, kind of predicted this. I predicted a lot of this. American Nightmare at least was like so batshit insane and so fun gameplay wise.
Do you like the insanity of how crazy things are going, how fucking weird things are?
Yes, but no, because like American Nightmare is like the closest I've come to enjoying the franchise. but I still weirdly hated how like just out of nowhere it's like here's a fucking weird it felt like Left 4 Dead where it's like here's a weird fucking concert while you just do all this weird horror killing shit. And I'm like, this
Okay,
doesn't feel
so-
appropriate to what this game's trying to be.
So there's two sides to that coin, like I'm saying. There's the Alan Wake 2 is two games. It is one side Saga, one side Alan. Saga is the more grounded, still
Like-
crazy stuff. But
yeah,
like
Saga's like the true detective, police detective procedural.
I've
and-
personally, at least from my perspective, heard that she's the more weaker of the two storylines.
she's weaker if you
I
are
love
here
her
for
story.
Alan though. Like that's not saying anything
Gotcha,
bad. Like
okay.
Saga's still great, I think. I like Saga a lot.
If you're there for Alan Wake 2 because you want Alan's story, I can see how that's an issue.
But
Gotcha,
if you're a
that's the
fan,
context I'm missing then.
if you're a fan, you're enjoying all of it. Like it all
Yeah.
pieces together amazingly.
Yeah, because it all works together 100%.
Yeah. So
Because the way I've heard it from some other friends of mine that have played it is like, and just to explain this some way, you guys understand where I'm kind of coming from what I've been told currently, is that like you go through Alan's story and it feels like Alan Wake, but still with like continuing to build upon with like what American Nightmare Control did to improve how it functions as a game. So you're getting those more interesting story plots and elements further refined. It's the most refined that the series has been. But then when you get into the Saga elements, you get into the like, we're trying to solve a mystery here, but it's so slapdash and lazy in terms of
No.
like the most obvious connections possible.
well, it's
for
obvious
how it
because
could
you can do them both at whatever time. Like you know what's kind of happening, and there are some cool things that Remedy will write in that like you're like, oh, that's what was happening. This, but like you're piecing together
Okay,
because
so
you're literally
because you
playing
can
two
te-
people, and you can and if you want,
okay.
when you get the ability to swap, because you start a Saga, when you get the ability to swap, you can go through and play Alan Wake all the way to the end. It's kind of like I'm assuming it's like 13 Sentinels a little bit, where you can go off and do one whole thing,
Yeah,
and then come back and do the whole thing. If you want to kind of bounce back and forth, which is kind of fun, that's I think the best way to do it. Bounce back and forth because you can kind of keep pace with everything at the same time. But really, it's like you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
No, that's legit how I played the game. I played Saga's story all the way up until it literally tells you, hey, you can't play any more of Saga's story. And then I went through and played all the Alan shit just because the Alan shit got to me that much.
I think that makes the difference because the second you made the comparison to the 13 Sentinels, everything else clicked in my brain.
So
Because
now-
okay.
Okay, so and then now let's backtrack. The gameplay wise, it's not vastly different. So I don't say the whole like it's like it's a detective story on Saga's side, but even like when you're piecing together things on the wall, it's not like of consequence or anything. Like it's automatic essentially. Which will that'll probably piss you
Yeah.
off the most. Where it's not really that big. It's like it's a cool thing to look at. Think of that right away. Erase your mind from like
It ha-
you're gonna build that. It's just a cool visual to show everything.
Okay.
And also it kind of does point you to like it opens up questions because it does branch off more because essentially the Mind Palace works. You play the game and then you have to come back there and you reflect. So you're laying everything out.
It's a
And
good
then
way,
you can kind of-
especially when you think about again, Saga's kind of built for the newcomer. When this story gets as fucking weird as it is, she's kind of built to like constantly like, here's everything that's going on right now. Here's everything. Here's every thread. Here's where we're
Okay.
going with this. So it's
And
less
it's
of a gameplay that
Everything,
it
too.
seems
It's
like.
not-
Sorry, go ahead.
it's everything too. It's not like just the main story. Like if you pick up a key item somewhere, or if you there's side objectives that you can do that involve items. Those will go there too. Those are also minor investigations that you're working on at the same time. So, I
It's
mean,
a way
it's
to
not
implement like constant like remembering every single bits and piece of the story rather than a gameplay thing that some people assumed it was going to be. You're messing around with it gameplay wise, but it's not supposed to be this whole like you're piecing together. It's like it's just a way to incorporate a little bit of gameplay into your like story of how to remember every thread and needle that's going through this.
Also, real
And
quick, sorry, Kelsey, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And it does end up being a story beat.
Yes.
Okay. How much would you two strongly recommend playing Control before going into it?
I think you'll get infinitely more out of it, but you don't have to play it. But if
Okay,
you
the
do
fact
play
that
it,
you
you're gonna.
specifically say you get more out of it, I think I might try to
So,
control before I go into
yeah,
it.
so let me tell you. I'll say it in the funny way, but like kind of put it in the way. It's straight up that, and Kel's. I love Kel's always. It's the you've done both of them. The Leonardo DiCaprio meme and the.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
that's
that.
exactly
It's
what it
like
is.
it's got really strong payoffs, and it's like a little. It's like a step above the hint and nudge. It's like it's a universe like that. That's the thing I've loved so much about this and been so enamored with it. It's like they're creating like almost like an MCU thing where it's like if you know what's going on here, you know what's going on there, and it's cool. It's interlinking, especially these DLCs. These DLCs are 100% like fucking morphed everything in together.
Yeah, so I beat the game. Then I watched Adrian play it. He streamed it, and there's moments like something would happen and that specifically reference control. I'd be like, "Hey, did you catch that?" And he just, bro, was that what I just thought happened? Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what the fuck just happened.
It,
dude.
it's super cool. And let me say this: you've played Alan Wake 1. It was and as someone that appreciated the potential of it too, right? Like I thought it was cool. It was
Yeah.
forgettable. It was forgettable enough that I always remember Alan Wake, but it wasn't something I thought of a lot. But it was something I wanted to revisit eventually. Okay. Oh, and American Nightmare, super cool too. But like I had this inkling, and then sure enough, when it's Control is Remedy knowing who they are now and
Oh,
finally being
yeah, they
like,
hit the sauce.
yeah, they're like, all right, this is where we're at.
Mm.
We're good now. And now you could tell Control is just like they are that studio now, and it's just their vibe, and it makes sense. And Control is just a fucking it just really oozes so much style and aesthetic, and the gameplay is fun. Like it's super fun. It's actually like a really fun game to go through.
Oh yeah,
And now it's like all that, and it, dude. Let me tell you, when you get little, because there's papers, and the thing I appreciate about Control is like there's so much writing that was in Control,
Yeah.
so much fucking writing, because it's like you pick up pages. Think of the Alan Wake pages, but think of it as full on classified pages, like is like FBI, like where it's all like redacted and stuff. But
yeah.
like
The FBC has like a built-in lore to it. I feel like there has to be more lore that they have written, like a lore master for it.
yeah, no, it has to. And then like if the like you it just goes on and on and on. You can read all this, and it's like, David, there's sometimes where you'll like get little bits and pieces of like stuff, and you're like, oh shit, that's that, right? Like, and you'll piece together. And then the cool thing is the Control DLC does lead into Alan Wake 2.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And it looks like Alan Wake 2's DLC is leading into Control 2. And it's not essential. I'll tell you now. Like you can go through and you'll enjoy Alan Wake 2 if you want to skip Control, but like you will get a lot more out of it. And I think it's also just a cool way to like see how Remedy has progressed from like Alan Wake to Control.
I do say if you don't play Control first, I recommend playing it after.
Yeah, at some point it needs to be played. I think if you if you like Alan Wake, you'll want to go back. Like, I hear a lot of that people go like, we'll go back. Like, what do I gotta play next? Well, I'll go through this. But let me reel it all the way back now. So again, the gameplay is not drastically different. Honestly, it's like you might get different types of enemies, but not really. It's all tonal. So like, imagine like Saga is like a progression of Alan Wake 1 to American Nightmare to Alan Wake 2. What you would imagine like where the setting and stuff might be. Like you're in the Pacific Northwest, right? It's got like all these things going on like that, and the game it's still like kind of grounded, but kind of like supernatural.
Yeah, like you feel there's something. It's fuzzy around the edges, and that's literally how it's shown in game too.
Yeah. Whereas Alan Wake has been stuck in this really fucked up place for a really long time, and he's kind of going insane. So imagine the insanity of that just portrayed in full force.
Okay.
So it's like you get both bits and pieces of both. And again, like Kells did it that way. I balanced it back and forth and juggled it. You can go whatever way you want. But like that's there's you can play the way you want. But to answer the question, I think it's got a lot of Twin Peaks like Twin Peaks references. Like it dropped a lot of Stephen King stuff. It's no longer really a Stephen King thing. It's a Twin Peaks thing.
Yeah, no, they're fully leaning into like the absurdist rather than the like straight like supernatural horror that Stephen King is. They definitely lean more into like the absurdist.
I mean,
kind of,
Stephen
like,
King's pretty fucking absurdist at times, but
right.
A lot of his newer shit. I got a lot of problems with his newer shit. But...
So it's dropped the Stephen King stuff. It's like going full force on this Twin Peaks weird vibes. But I think I don't know. I think with how you're a lore guy, so it feels a lot like, in a way, like almost like those analog style things or like the creepypasta kind of things where you can dig deep into it. There's a lot of fucking lore to this. And it's so funny because like you could, like, without the Alan Wake 2 DLC, discussion would still be going, but then like the DLC came in and just fucked it all up in a really fantastic way where everyone's like, oh fuck, like it's cool because you could tell they have like this world Bible there and they're just like going all in right now, and it's really, really cool. And again,
yeah, I got really interested once they tied it into Control.
Yeah,
because Control is one of those things that's small until it's not.
Yeah, and, it's like it's confined, and then like the oldest
how
house
the game unrolls,
literally though, like
yeah.
it like unfolds, and it's so cool the way it actually unfolds.
Yeah, it's like an origami house, like it, because Control, like you literally walk through the door, and next thing you know, you're in like you go down the rabbit hole.
And there's this cool stylistic thing that they've been doing, which they brought in Alan Wake 2, which I hope they just never drop now because it's a Remedy thing now. It's like you enter this new place and just impact font.
So last question then.
Style out bad.
Let's say I theoretically played through Control. So I've already played through the first two Alan Wakes, wasn't impressed, but I played through Control. What are the odds of me liking Alan Wake 2 if I still potentially don't come out of Control not liking it?
I think it's high because they both are functionally different games. It's one of those things like you're getting the story out of it more than anything. You're getting the context out of it. I wouldn't say play Control and go into Alan Wake 2 expecting like similar gameplay.
It's
more or less.
Okay, so look at it more like an RPG where it really is more for the narrative then.
So you're playing an third person action game in Control, which has supernatural elements.
Kind of like a Metroidvania a little bit.
Yeah,
I'd say.
But Alan Wake 2 is survival horror.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're still probably different genres, but like they're blending in little by little. I shouldn't even say little by little. They're like full on, just like clashing it there, and it feels really cool. It's like it feels, and you know, maybe this is why Kel's kind of attaching. It's kind of comic booky, right? Where it's like two different styles, two different comic books, but like they're trying to meet and trying to do this crossover thing. And like you see little bits and pieces of this, and like you'll see one character enter from this and this, and then you'll see like something else. Like it all pays off, which is why everyone loves it. Like everything does have payoff. Okay. It doesn't just tease you with things and really go off. And like it's cool because like even in Control, it's teasing stuff. Control teased stuff for Control 2 that Alan Wake 2 is also teasing for Control 2. Like there's this whole thing called like there's this one guy named like Chester Best or something like that. And like he's been referenced a few times, and like in Control, there's a thing where we don't see Barry Wheeler. Spoilers: you don't see Barry Wheeler in Alan Wake 2, but like there was a thing in Control with a memo that you found him saying, "Hey, I haven't heard from them in a while, or we've been doing this and that, but hey, I went to this place and there's this guy named Chester Best. He's been really cool, and this is that." And then you'll see like, but it's not like overt like in your face because like you'll see like you'll hear him name drop Chester Best. And then, like, in a thing, like, 10 hours later, you'll find a random page where it talks about, and this company from San Diego, the Best Foundation or something. And you're like, that name.
I think what I might do is I might play through Control Ultimate Edition because I have that through a Humble Bundle. And I might see if I'm
thinking that's the better idea because Control explains a lot.
It's
because I'm looking at it from the lore aspect. So remove the gameplay element.
Yeah. So here's the thing:
if after
you as a man,
after American Nightmare, and after Control, I'm still not interested.
I think honestly, Control would explain a whole lot of Alan Wake 1 and American Nightmare for you. I think that it could retroactively fix a lot of those for you.
Interesting. Okay.
Like you remember us playing through it, right? And I was like, I played Alan Wake 1. I played Alan Wake American Nightmare, and I was like, maybe I should do Control before Alan Wake 2 because I was kind of interested. And you've seen my change. Like,
Yeah.
I went from like I was not really a big Remedy fan. I was like, whatever, that's kind of cool. Alan Wake 2, it's been so long. Control fucking changed me. Like Control like changed the game literally. Like it's like everything was just fucking different, and it's like it's so fucking cool to see them just really get the style down because it felt like the culmination of like them trying but missing with Alan Wake, them trying missing with American Nightmare, them trying but missing with Quantum Break. But you know what? Let's do the best highlights of those and make Control. Okay, we nailed it. Cool. Let's get even better at that and make it Alan Wake 2.
The main story plus extra puts that at like 19 hours. The Ultimate Edition puts it at like 25
And let me say
hours.
this. Because I'm kind of trying to grasp at what you're scared of the most. Because I know you're...
Well,
let me finish. Because
Yeah,
you are a little bit on both ends, right? Because Alan Wake was mediocre to you.
Yes.
Which is fair. It's all around mediocre. Like, the story was cool, but like had a lot of fluff to it, which I can kind of explain away, but I really have to stretch to explain away, whatever. The gameplay was very mid, which there's some weird people that like say, I like that one better. I'm like, you're fucking crazy. You're wild.
No, anyone that unironically says they like Alan Wake 1 more than American Nightmare is
Some
It's
people think
fucking
like Alan
wrong,
Wake 1 more
but-
than 2, which is weird. It's literally not possible. But I understand you have that. So I'm mixed because like the gameplay itself, there's 0%. There's like it's like almost a non-opinion. It's objectively better playing than Alan Wake 1. Just objectively, it's just better. It's like not quite like Resident Evil 2, but like you're kind of around that realm of like that. You're in that bubble of Resident Evil 2.
Mm. Okay,
But,
that's a
like-
good way to compare it.
But lore wise, if you're into lore, because did you like the you don't like the pages they were foreshadowing things because they're kind of hokey, but did you like the concept?
I did not like. I liked the concept of Alan Wake. I hated how stupidly predictable Alan Wake was.
I don't know if I can. Maybe Kels can tell me in a second, but I don't know how predictable Control was. But I will say that the lore itself isn't doing that whole like here's what's gonna happen thing. The lore, the pages you pick up are literally just world building. Every piece of paper you pick is just constant world building. So it's kind of like
But that's the lore pages. But like the story itself, how predictable is the story itself?
I don't think Control is predictable at all because, like I said,
it's fucking
whenever
too
you-
weird.
Yeah, whenever you
Okay.
think you found the exit, that door just opens up to 5 more doors. Like it's one of those games. Even once you beat Control, you're still like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Even when you
So
beat
that's
Alan
why-
Wake
that-
2, you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Well,
Even
so
when you beat
that's why
Alan Wake
whenever
2 again, you're like, what the
Well,
fuck is happening?
yeah,
Because
so for me,
that was
that's
my
why-
big thing. Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
finished.
so
Kels,
no,
I'm
like
sorry.
in Alan Wake 2, so that's why whenever you see reference to Control, that's why you're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Hold on, go back to that because you don't know what happened there. You're like, "Where is this going? How is this going to tie
And-
in?" And then you finally see it. That
And
little
really quick,
intersection.
Dave, before you say your thought,
Yes.
remember
go
me
ahead.
as a person. I love
Yeah.
to jump ahead of the plot, right? Like I am always
Yes.
trying to like get one step ahead. I cannot
And that's why you've been
fucking do
frustrated
that.
with some of my recommendations. I know that element of it.
How's that? Wait, explain that.
It's been a while, but I remember there's been like some movies or games I've recommended, and you got frustrated because you're like, "Well, I kind of guessed it halfway through."
I can't do that with this
And it's
fucking
like,
game, dude. I can't do that with this studio right now. Like they've consistently stayed ahead of it and just like constantly twist and turn and twist and turn and twist and turn things, but to a point where I've been content going along for the ride now. I'm almost like, you know what, you guys have sold me because it's hard for me to jump ahead because they're being consistently kind of like obtuse, which is cool. Like it sounds kind of like a bad thing, but they're intentionally obtuse to shake all that off and just take you for this ride
Yeah.
that you just have no idea where it's gonna go. And it's really not. It just there's so much weird shit going on. You're gonna be predictable in certain places, especially like Alan Wake 2. If you really want to like jump ahead of the gun, sure, you might find a couple spots here, but like the implications of where the whole journey is it's not an all encapsulating game. It's like a universe. You're not getting that.
Okay, but the counter side, is it like, I can't keep up with it because it's genuinely like chaotic, but in like a way that makes sense? Or
Okay,
is it
think
like
of it this.
Well, I said because
There's
my
a big
issue-
reason why I
look,
love this franchise, right?
real quick, because one of the issues I brought up when I played through American Nightmare was I thought that it actually was one of the more interesting ones. 'Cause I like the whole dynamic with the whole band that was in the retirement home, but I felt like it fucking jumped the shark entirely with them in American Nightmare. Is it like that where it's like lol so random you couldn't guess it because it's lol so random, or does it like actually have like a pathos build up
There,
to where
so
it
for
makes
example,
sense?
let's talk about the one of the big viral moments, right? The whole Herald of Darkness that you walk through, and there's a giant light show, and it's the evolution, because there is something like that in.
Is that like the whole music video where you're like, oh, they should have been like nominated for the music in that for that reason?
It was what they did at Game Awards, but like
Okay,
in-game.
yeah.
But and there's something like that in Control as well, but there are reasons for that. Like they don't just say, "Oh, wacky, this is a thing." It's like, "Hey, this is
There's
wacky,"
build up
but
to it, story implications.
but there is a reason why that was
Okay.
that way.
and not. It's hard to talk about without spoiling it.
I
But
really don't want to spoil the thing in Control because I think David's gonna get a big kick out of that.
Okay.
But I realize that like the world it's catered to accentuates the wacky randomness,
mhm.
because it's like that's just kind of where we're at, right? Like it's like
Mm.
this dude's throwing anything at the wall to get the fuck out, and he just throws something random like that, but like it's still got reasons as to why. It's not like, oh, we're just being goofy, because it is being goofy, but there's a reason for that.
Right. And
I'll
also,
prob-
I feel like Alan Wake 2 specifically, it wraps up a lot of stories and it answers a lot of questions before opening that new door.
Mm.
So you do get a lot of closure, but you do get more questions being asked. So it's one of those things like I feel like it is satisfying in a way, but it also leaves you wanting more in a good way.
I don't know. I think what I might do is I might bump up Control into one of the games I try to finish sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the
But
more we talk
honestly, I
about it,
think
the
if I
more
don't like Control, I'm not going to bother putting in the time in Alan Wake 2. Because then at that point, it's 3 fucking games back to back of theirs that didn't hit fully for me.
Here's where I'm at. I think Kel's right there too. I think it's the right move to do Control, because I just think it's just the style of it now. Like again, even if it's not the gameplay or anything, it's just like it's Remedy's like signature style is now Control, like cranked up. If it's a matter of should you do that versus Alan Wake 2, I'm a little conflicted, but I think this is the right way to go. It's gonna bum me out if you don't like it.
especially because that's not the game we're explicitly like recommending, right? It's like, yeah, play
It's
Alan
a
Wake
whole
2,
different
it's
game.
great.
It's
a
an
whole
It's a whole
entirely
different
different
game,
game.
but at the same
Yeah.
time, like at that point, it's a legacy.
Yeah.
Because it's Alan Wake 1, it's American Nightmare, and then it's Control.
It's Quantum Break though too.
And it's-
Remember, it's that too.
And, I mean, there's Quantum Break, but I also really didn't care for
No, I
Quantum
didn't
Break,
either.
So I keep
I
forgetting
didn't
that's
either.
part of it. So
But
that's 4 games then, where congratulations, you have maybe found the 1 in 100 where I think your formula may work. But unironically, if I at that point go through fucking 3 games or technically at that point 4 games in your fucking catalog, and it's the 5th game that you finally get it right, it's kind of like Blooper Team.
here.
Where it's like, oh, you now understand that maybe you should make fucking good
No,
games.
so here's my issue
instead
with
of
that.
what
David.
you've released up to that point.
Here's my issue with that. If Control didn't exist, this whole progression of you saying, should I play Alan Wake 2 because I thought Alan Wake 1 was very mid. I thought American Nightmare was a good step in the right direction. Alan Wake 2 is 1,000,000,000% yes, the correct step. So like, if you're not for Control, this would be a simple question of like, yes, go play Alan Wake 2. We're telling you lump Control in because it's a really cool game in this universe. So I think it's kind of unfair for you to say like, I'm not going to give that, because that, if you want to cut out Control, then yes, you will naturally be okay with that. Because if you liked the cohesion but like absurdity, and if you like the gameplay, it's all better in Alan Wake 2. But if we're now gambling that on a third game, which maybe you just don't like the game, then it's an issue. Then I'm like, well then.
So then would you? I guess
I
you
know
know,
this
cards
is
on
an
the
issue.
table. Would you recommend I just skip to Alan Wake.
No,
2
that's
and
what
try
that's what me and Keller saying. It's like we're in a weird pickle right now, because like, no, I want to say that I think you like Control. It worries me because I know I might you said a 7 out of 10 out of our recommendations, because you are a 3 out of 10 wild card sometimes, where you just something just didn't click with you. It could have been like just not the right headspace. It could have been something. So it's like it is a gamble right now that I kind of feel bad about, but like what I'm gambling right now is saying that I hope you like Control. I really fucking hope you like Control, because if you do,
Okay.
it'll make Alan Wake 2 even better.
Yeah.
If you are like that adamant iffy on things, then I'll tell you go straight to Alan Wake 2. But like it's gonna be a bit of a bummer that you're not gonna experience those really, really cool fucking hints and nudges that you could have had if you went through this, which is also an amazing game though, right? It's not like
I
I'm
know
saying
that would piss me off. In all honesty, if there was like a lot of like deeper lore shit and missing, by
it's
not
like
having
those really
experienced it.
it's those really cool moments where like the fans get it,
Yeah.
and if you missed out on that, that's rough. But like if you do go through and put the time into Control, you will get that much more out of Alan Wake 2. So it's like I will gamble a better Alan Wake 2 with you playing Control, which is again an amazing game. Just to let you have that, because I think you'll be bummed out if you go through Alan Wake 2, liked it as much as we did, go back to Control and you're like, oh fuck, damn, that would have been super sick. Which, and let me say,
Gotcha.
Remedy is really good at crafting their shit. Kaz, I don't know if you knew this. Did you know that DLC is playable in game, like in the actual campaign?
Really?
So David, so they added the campaign, right? And Night Springs, it's 3 episodes you get to play, right? And they're like smallish missions, like what, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe missions.
Yeah.
They went in and retroactively added TVs into the overworld, where you can stumble across them while you're playing in game now. So you might be doing a mission and you like see a TV that's on, you go to it, and all of a sudden you're playing as Rose.
Nice. Okay. So I wonder how that's going to work for the lake house, because that's my big issue right now is I don't want to have to replay.
No, it's still
everything
it's also in the menu.
Okay.
So
Cool.
you can access them via just directly through the menu, or you can they programmed it so you can stumble upon it in game as well.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Um,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, I think at the very least, David, if you get through, here's what I'll say: if you get the Control and you don't like Alan Wake 2 afterwards too, then yeah, shrug it off. It's never gonna happen. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done after that. But I think at the very least, you're still gonna get a story you would absolutely appreciate how much like love and craft is being put into it, and you're gonna see a studio that evolved into their own personality, and where it's at. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But like, I really hope it is, because like this tickled that inner, like, I love deep dives and the shit, and like the fucking deep dive just never stops. There's constantly more shit that like is really cool.
Yeah, because a lot of I don't know, a lot of it is a meta commentary within the game, outside of the game. There's layers. There's a lot of layers.
And I feel like that's what I'm missing out on, is because I love a lot of that shit. And Adrian can attest to it, and that's why I kind of ask his opinion, because he understands that I do love that shit, of like something that you can really just spend a lot of time dissecting and kind of getting into the nitty gritty on. And that's why I want to like Alan Wake. That is my biggest frustration.
You can be okay. And here's the thing.
I want to like it.
I'm not gonna go back, but like I appreciate Alan Wake and American Nightmare by extension more, just because of Alan Wake 2.
Oh yeah.
Like even there's little tidbits, like fucking in Alan Wake 2, like he wears his American Nightmare thing, and you're like, hey, hold on, he wore that same thing, and there's an implication there. Like again, it's like let me say it this way. You know how when like teens to 20s like make this really cool web series, and they have really cool tidbits that you catch in between there and there, but sometimes those tidbits don't really work out anywhere?
Yes.
Well, now imagine if someone was professionally paid and did this for many, many years and started making sure that all those pieces fit together.
Yeah, it just literally feels like they've hit their stride, is what it feels like. Like they know what they're doing. They have a clear direction that they're headed down.
And as wacky as it gets, I know that they have an idea for what's happening. Like I trust that they're going to go there.
Yeah.
All right, so let me see something. So Control Ultimate Edition is like
I'm gonna gamble that,
25-ish
David. It
hours.
does hurt me a little bit that there's a potential world where you just hate Control that you
You're
get so
making me
turned
want
off.
to go back and play Control now. Too.
Yeah, no, unironically, I've been wanting to do. I'm thinking about. There's a small part of me, honestly, that's considering just not doing the Lake House and just playing through Alan Wake 2 when I get the game in December again. David,
Alan Wake 2 itself is where the fuck are you? All right, I guess I need to specify Alan Wake 2 because there's too many fucking games that have Wake in them, apparently. Alan Wake 2, yeah, it's about main story plus extra 25 hours as well. So like 50 hours total for Control Ultimate plus Alan Wake 2. I got fucking pee again. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
This fucking 40% by volume is hitting me hard.
That boy got pissed. Yeah, no, dude, it's so hard, man, because you get it because
we're on the same thing.
yeah,
We're
on the
you see
same
how
thing.
much because you see how much when he hates something he vehemently hates it, and it sucks.
Yeah, he has a really bad taste in his mouth from Alan Wake 1 and 2 and American Nightmare, which I get. Like, I don't get like why he hates it that much because I think it's like maybe a 6 out of 10.
I know.
I think it's like
here's why.
average at best.
It's because it was talked up to him for so long.
Okay, I can get that. He played it more recently, right? Like,
it was last year. It was about almost a little over a year ago. He played it.
That makes a ton of sense because I just remember playing it when it came out and be like, okay, it's a game.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you know what? I thought that too, and I played through it again, and I was like, yeah. I mean, I see there's issues, but I saw the potential.
Right.
It's funny because I had the saying with my kids whenever we're playing Smash and like someone whiffs a move or something almost happened. I started saying it. They took the saying afterwards where I'm like, I see the vision. Like I saw the vision. And like that's what it was in playing Alan Wake and then American Nightmare. Like I saw the vision, right? Like you're like, this is where this could go, right? And then Quantum Break, it never spoke to me. I still want to one day go through that game, but it never spoke to me. And it's like one of those, like, I see the vision, but then Control was the vision, right? Like it's like this is the vision.
Hell yeah.
Right. Exactly. And it's kind of like, I feel like the DLCs and how they tie it in, like the AWEs. It's like, okay, now we got this. That's how it connects.
Very fancy, David.
Thank you.
But
nothing says fancy quite like a custom-made hoodie and a tie.
Let me also say this just in case, because I feel like a small pinch of you is thinking that he's just writing absurdity for the sake of being absurd.
Yes.
In Quantum Break, in the first like hour and a half, there's a whiteboard which has a lot of details about Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake 2.
Oh, okay, so it's one of those things that, like, in retrospect is more enjoyable, potentially, then.
No, I'm saying Quantum Break, you look back and you're like, oh, this motherfucker had ideas.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like I played Quantum Break ages ago. And
I've never gotten through it. I still haven't gotten through it. Like, and I was telling Kels is like, I see the visions in these things. And Alan Wake, again, I'm not far from you. Like, I liked it more, I remember, but like we both aren't far off on our scores. Like, you didn't hate it, but like you were not nearly like it got talked up too much.
No, I don't have like a visceral hatred of it, but I'm like,
it's not Balatro.
I can't get into it. Yeah, it's not Balatro. I hate Balatro, unironically.
But Kels and I were saying right now
now
that we're just a little afraid because we really don't want you to hate it. But like, I don't know. I think I'm willing to gamble. I'm overthinking because, again, remember, like, Control was like nominated for Game of the Year. Like, it's still
that doesn't mean anything to me though.
But I'm just saying, it's not. Alan Wake was never. You know what I'm saying? Like, Quantum Break was never. None of these were ever.
Alan Wake 2 won a shit ton of awards.
Right. Like, there's a reason why those two won. Right. So I'm trying to say is that like it's not. We're not
step up for them.
Like, if Control was objectively a 7 out of 10 game, I'd be sweating bullets right now, kind of wondering that, but I shouldn't be because like a Control is still a fucking incredible game.
Yeah, it's up. Alan Wake 2 is legitimately one of my favorite games of all time. Control's in the top 10 for sure. It's still up there.
Okay.
It's like it's arguing to be in the top 5, honestly.
I will try to commit at least to this year before the year is over. So I have 2 months to do this, basically. I will try to commit to trying to play through Control before the year's over.
It's dense,
Hell yeah.
so I'm gonna say don't be one of those like play it for an hour 1 week and then drop it for 2 weeks and play it for an hour again. Like
No, I'm a binge player, so if I play it, I'm gonna just fucking go through it.
I feel like it's a good game that you can binge too, just because of the amount of shit that you can get into.
yeah, because I
Not even a whole lot. It's just like more, like you said, lore. Like there's a lot of shit that you can find, that you can read, that you can just take in.
Okay. And that's what infuriates me is like I feel like I should like Alan Wake because
It's okay,
everything
David.
around Alan Wake.
I probably like it the most out of all three. Kells thinks it's a 6 out of 10 as well.
okay.
Yeah, the first
Like-
one. Yeah, no, I think it's above average. It's average to above average. It's not like
Yeah, because I put it firmly at the average. It's
Yeah,
fine.
so
it's
it's
something
kinda
I
like-
haven't seen before.
That's the thing is Kells isn't far off from you, and that's the thing is I think we're getting our wires a little bit too scared because me and Kells fucking love this game, obviously, right?
Yeah.
We're just a little timid about it, but we aren't far off. Like none of us like fucking love Alan Wake 1. Like I see the
Okay.
potential in it. That's why I like it so much, and I can rationalize my like for it. But I understand I'm rationalizing it, right? So I'm not like I will never in my life, probably. I guess I don't like to say never, but like there's not a reason why I think I would go back and play the first game, unless like Alan Wake 3 comes out and it like somehow ties so much shit in there that I'm like, you know what, I want to play the franchise. There's not a reason for me to go back. I will go back and play Alan Wake 2. I really want to do that in December probably, but like. I want to go back and play Control. I want to go back and play Alan Wake 2. I don't want to go back and do American Nightmare or Alan Wake 1.
How about this? I'm going
Game's
to
gone
commit
by.
to trying them both. No. I mean, maybe if we do resurrect that fucking nugget, I would like to resurrect Game on Gum.
Game on Gum.
I feel like that.
Game gone by.
Game on Gum Bear. Game on Gum Bear. No, I would like us to resurrect that because I feel like that.
Yeah.
Unironically, was what kept me the most honest about fucking finishing.
Yeah,
games.
and I need to.
The second we
just
stopped
life.
that, I stopped finishing that shit.
Yeah, that's the same I am, but life, you know.
I am going to commit to this year, guaranteed. I will play through Control, and I will commit to, regardless of what I feel about Control, I will commit to before April finishing Alan Wake 2 as well.
Do this.
I think I can commit to finishing Control again too. Because whenever you stepped away, we were talking about really wanting to go back and play it, and I definitely want to after playing Alan Wake 2.
I imagine when you guys talk it up, I'll probably want to do it too, but we'll see if I have enough time with all my games.
I mean, we could maybe say that like we kick off January with the return of games.
I'm not gonna promise anything. I'm not gonna promise anything, but I will say that
Coward.
If you love Control, I'll be surprised if you don't want to jump headfirst into Alan Wake 2.
That's what I'm hoping. Unironically, I'm hoping that Control makes me optimistic enough to go. Like, I'm not looking to like have it be like, oh, my top 10 or anything like that. I'm hoping that Control at least makes me feel better about Remedy understanding things a bit better.
Do you like chaos and weird shit?
With purpose, yes.
Okay. Then welcome to Remedy right now.
Okay.
I again, like we're giving all these like by April. You're saying by this, I'd say just sometime this year, hop into Control.
Yes, 100%
Do
before
that.
year's end. I will play through Control.
And I have a feeling that it's a few different categories. If you really love Control as much as Kels and I did, you're gonna jump headfirst into Alan Wake 2. Like there's like no world that you don't, especially with the DLC. If you do the DLC, there's no world that you're like, you know what, I'll get to Alan Wake 2 in a little bit. I'm excited, but there's no world that happens because like it's such an incredible like lead into it. If you're like very mid on Control, then I understand the skepticism, but like believe us when again, if we're like talking about the natural progression from 1 to American Nightmare to 2, the natural progression is there, and you will have a better time in 2 than you have with this. Which in theory, if you thought 1 was a 5, there is no way you'd think Alan Wake 2 is less than a 5. I'd be shocked. That'd probably be like one of the biggest surprises I've had from you.
Okay.
If you hate
I
Control,
will commit to inevitably trying.
so one more. If you hate Control,
yeah,
get through it and you hate it, I'll be a little skeptical. Of like, all right, maybe you. And I guess I have to hear your reasons. If it's like a gameplay reason, I don't give a shit. Go play Alan Wake 2. But like, if it's like,
no, I wouldn't be in control because again, we've talked about Silent Hill. Silent Hill should not be an enjoyable gameplay fucking experience. Is my hard feeling on that. So it wouldn't be purely a gameplay reason. It'd have to be that gameplay and narrative made it not enjoyable for me.
yeah, in which case I'd be shocked if one didn't hit you at least well enough.
Yeah, I'd be
Okay.
shocked if the narrative doesn't hit for you. It's one of those games that it sinks its teeth into you and just kind of drags you in, regardless if you're ready for it or not.
And it's
Because
fun.
I have played through some shittily controlling games just because I was fascinated enough with the narrative. So it's kind of one of those things where ultimately
So
I actually really don't
Keep
care ultimately about the gameplay as long as the narrative is actually genuinely worth it.
Yeah, and it's one. Yeah, no, it's I think it's genuinely worth it, and in the sense that how it does have that crossover and further implications that you don't know of until you see it.
I'd like to remind you, David,
Okay.
that there's no book for Alan Wake 1, right? Here is the Control Quick Edition book, right?
Oh god, that looks so
Yes.
sick.
Okay. All of this, David, like, all of this is background that's gone to the game, including lore. Look. Oh, there we go. We have a page there. Like, see this, like, half page right here? You
Yeah, see that's why I'm torn.
there are, like, what, like 100 of those? Like, has to be
Yeah.
more? I was like,
But see that's why I'm torn. Is because I feel like it should itch that same part of my brain that loves Draconeer and shit like that.
that's
where
what I'm
it's
saying,
just
David.
like-
That's what I'm saying. That's what I pointed at. Because, like, remember, I can't do this Yoko Taro thing where I can't hop ahead of this shit. Like, the man's crazy. If there's a world where Yoko Taro and fucking Sam Lake work together, it'd be
Yeah, no.
it'd be the most fucking obscene, wild, crazy thing ever, dude. Like, I can't hop ahead of this. So, like, that's why, like, unironically, David, like, that's why, like,
Okay.
on my fucking Twitter profile, I've had Alan Wake 2 and Near fan page.
Okay.
Like, I can't get around that. And again, I wanted, like, I love Control. Obviously, I love Control, right? But I didn't say Alan Wake fan page, correct?
Fair.
I
That's
said
true.
Alan Wake 2 fan page. I will go above and beyond for that, and I still will vouch for the original game. But, like, it's not.
It's the one that whenever someone brings up an argument, you're like, well,
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't want to die on the hill for it, but, like, also, like, it's like we've gone so far from it, you know. But then also, like, the game is 14 years old too, so
yeah.
is what it is. But, like, this thing is like a lore baby, dude. Like, there's so much shit, and it's really
I'm
cool.
jealous. That
If
thing's
you're,
sick.
dude, fucking love it. I'm just scared because it's. You've heard me talk about Kentucky Route Zero, right? Like, you've heard me gush about
Yeah.
that. Do I have Kentucky Route Zero fan page written on my profile?
No.
Right.
That's
So that's
fair.
what I'm saying. Is like this is one of those games that the only reason why I'm, like, so timid about this, otherwise just saying, like, go play it, is, like, I do want you to love this because I think this is gonna. I'm just gonna say I think you're gonna like it. I'm gonna put my chips down. I'm gonna say you like it, and I will be very upset. Not upset. I'll be very sad if you don't like it because this is a very special
All
game.
right. Yeah. So I will commit to it. I will commit that at least before year's end, I will finish Control Ultimate Edition, and before April of next year, I will finish Alan Wake 2. And the reason I'm using those specific timelines is because, again, this was a year of fucking hearty RPGs. I've only beaten like fucking 15 games this year, and it's because 90% of the games I've beaten this year were fucking 100+ hour RPGs, and there's still more to fucking go through, including Metaphor. So
I think these would be a good juxtaposition game though too. Like
Yes.
Like I think if you got to palate cleanse one or the other, I think this is good back and forth. I do think that there might I do worry that control would be very dense for you to juggle, but
I mean, it's 25. They're both 25 hours for main plus extra. So, I mean, it's 50 hours either way, the way I look at it, which is still less than a lot of the games I play in this fucking year.
I imagine that, like, right, like 2 games right now would be half a metaphor, right? Like,
Yeah. And I mean, again, half of what I played this year, majority of what I played this year have been 100-hour RPGs. So yeah, I get that. So that's why I'm committing to at least this year.
Yes.
I do want to play through Control.
You've
because
seen me get excited. You've seen me pop off for this fucking dumbass dance, right? Like I don't do that. How often do I've had visceral pop-offs for 2 things on the internet. For that and Banjo and Smash. Banjo and Smash was a 20-year want. This was like a game that came out 2 months prior that just had something. It's just so cool to see them be recognized critically for what they've been doing.
And unironically, the only other reason why I'm like, I know I'll just cave and try Alan Wake 2 anyways, is I can only think of 2 games in our friendship. We've known each other since we were like 15, 16. So like fucking 8 some odd years now, potentially longer than that. Wait, no, fuck, more than that. We're in our 30s. Longer. Fucking Christ. We've known each other like half our lives.
There are 2 games. Are you saying Barkley? Is that what you're gonna say?
Yes, Barkley shut up a jam guided. No. Unironically, there's only been 2 games I can think of where you were genuinely like, I would immediately play through that again. One was Red Dead Redemption 2, and the other was Persona 5. I have no horse, pardon the pun.
Red Dead 2, no.
Dead.
Red Dead 2, I want to play again, but it was a very dense and like emotional thing that I'm like, I'm good. Persona 5, yeah, that Persona 5 is the one where I was like, as soon as it was like, I would love to just hit new game and just start all over again.
Yes, and so because of that, knowing that I don't care for Rockstar, but knowing that you would be interested in going through that again,
100-hour game,
that journey, yeah, knowing that you would go through a 100-hour game, knowing that you're like, no, I want like a 2-3 hour journey. Let's go. No, I'll go through 100 hours again of that, and especially Persona 5. We've had a lot of conversations on Persona 5 and Royal. And especially knowing what we went through with around the campfire and all the shit we went through with that. I trust you enough to know that if you're saying I should play it, I am going to try it, but it's also one of those things that I'm like, still for my own interests, cautious. So I'm going to commit to that schedule. We'll see before year's end what I think of Control, and at some point before April, we'll see what I think of Alan Wake 2.
Right. Again, I love Control. But I just want to one more time just iterate, right? It's not a Control or Remedy fan page, even though I should say that at this point because I fucking love Remedy, right? But it's like
no, like
this
to what
game,
you're saying though.
Control was amazing, but Alan Wake 2 was the most like locked in, like holy fuck.
But that's what you said though. It's like if I really get into Control, I'm probably gonna want to hop right into Alan Wake 2.
And if there's a world where you love Control and you hate Alan Wake 2, I'll be floored. Like that would confuse the fuck out of me.
Because to be fair, I haven't seen that either. I have yet to see anyone who liked Control and was like, you know what? I really was disappointed with Alan Wake 2. So to be fair, I'll add to that. I've yet to fucking see that. So my hope is that Control changes my mind on Remedy. And Control is what finally gets me kind of hyped. And if not, I'll understand that hopefully at worst, I see that they've gotten better.
If we talk about it, and if there's and maybe I can hear what your criticisms were, and maybe I will from that point make a call to be like, don't, because again, this is one of those games that like very rare, but I'm like, if you don't like this, it'll bum me out because I think this is one that you've heard me and Kells talk about this. If you put me and Kells on a podcast, just talk about Alan Wake 2 for the next 3 hours, easiest thing on the planet, dude. Like,
yeah,
easiest thing I could do. Like it's so good. It's just one of those games that like Nier Automata did, where it just changed the way I look at a lot of games and just changed the way I like to consume a lot of those things. I'm not gonna lie, David, and again, I'm trying to like let you know just how much it means to me and why I'm so skeptical of this. in a clearer mind, yeah, just do it. You're gonna like it. I'm gonna say that. But like, there is a part of me, David, that would consider leaving my profession to go write for this company. If there was a way I can like
okay.
if I could be a game writer for Remedy, like on my cat's life, I have looked up stuff with the girlfriend about Finland because I was like, I wonder how it would be if I moved to Finland and was able to do this. Like I will, that lumped itself in with the whole like if I ever get a way to write and direct movies, or if I get a job like with specific company, like if it's Remedy specifically, get a write for them, I will uplift and do that because that just seems like it's so much creative freedom and like wild ideas that they just somehow managed to harness into this weird, amazing chaos thing that it's just.
You know what you've gone through to get to where you are, so that I do take that like with a lot of reverence.
Yeah. So again, like, and I think the worst absolute thing is you hate it, but you will. It's like Kentucky Route Zero, right? You will appreciate and understand everything now. Maybe you hate it, but
Okay,
like you'll
that's
get
fair.
it. And I think that's the worst outcome that could happen. There's not gonna be a world where you're like, I hate it. This is stupid. This is dumb. There's no that's not gonna happen. The
That's
worst thing
fair,
is you
'cause
hate it and you'll find like plot holes or something, which it's hard to make plot holes because like there's a lot of stuff that they could just fill, and they have actually, even with like what's his name passing away, Lance Reddick, like even him not being able to be recast in this game like he was supposed to originally, they will still fill in with other lore just to avoid that, right? Like there's a cool way they really are meticulous about their creative freedoms that I've just found so fucking fascinating, and why that like I think you'll appreciate where we come from and our love for this being beyond just a even beyond like Persona 5, as much as I fucking love it, right? But like there's like a whole different thing behind, like it's like this is like near levels of like where I'm at with that.
You using honestly Kentucky Route Zero has kind of made me a little bit less cautious about it. If the only reason why is because that is a game I get why people like it. I played through it. It didn't do anything for me personally, but it's at least a game that narratively I can understand why a lot of people sink their teeth in.
And it's good to just have
to
the
point where
appreciation
I want my
with,
partner to go through it.
right?
Like if it's a game that I don't even like, but I still want someone else to experience, you've sold me.
Right. And so that's where I'm at with that. Like worst case scenarios, we had one of those situations where like now at least when you hear me and Kels gush about it, you understand. You're like, okay, that's why, right?
Yeah.
Rather than kind of being in the dark about that, pun intended. I think it'd be a really, regardless of that though, David, I think it'd be a really fascinating like spoiler or games gone by, because it's really fun to fucking dive into that stuff. There's so much to dive into.
Do we want to just commit to starting next year?
I don't want to commit to
Games
shit.
Gone By again?
I'll figure things out when things start to like alleviate on my end, just because my life has been chaos. But like,
Fair.
But I mean, like here's how I feel about Games Gone By. I love the idea of it, and I would love to constantly commit to it and stick with it. That's also like a little bit why I'm doing the Phoenix Wright stuff too, right? Because it was on the list, doing that. I kind of want it to happen organically. So like the window I saw a little while ago was like if Kels plays Control, if you play Control, if I hear from you, if I hear the first couple hours you're having a good time, or like actually first 10 hours, the first couple hours like you don't know what's happening until like it takes about 10 hours for you to be like, oh, this is the ride we're on. If I hear like 10 hours in, you're into it, I might hop in with that with you just to go with it because
okay,
I do there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure I would catch on second playthrough versus first.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Right. So
looking
like
at it with clean eyes after playing Alan Wake 2.
Right. So if you go through it 10 hours in, you're actually like liking it, very least just liking it. I'll hop into that, and I could see that being the natural restarting of this. But also we mentioned, right, is that I would like Games Gone By to now from be an unstreamed. Let's just get games done, and we'll like record the episode and have it just stored up until we have enough episodes saved up to start making it a series, you know. But that's where I could see the natural start of this being is like, okay, we all play Control. Let's talk about that, because that is a fucking game where you can have a spoiler cast be about 5 hours long.
Right.
You know what? It's simple. When you come up this weekend, we'll just marathon through it straight. It's fine.
Yeah. There you go. Bingo.
Yeah, I mean
that's all we'll do the entire time you're here this weekend,
brother. They were selling Alan Wake 2 buckets in Finland You see that, Kels?
Dick hole and everything. You just put it right in there.
Like to commemorate the game being out, they had like the mop buckets, but like a green bucket that just says Alan Wake 2 on it.
Oh, that's so sick. Okay.
Yeah, that just Alan Wake 2 on it that they had for like the first like 100 people or whatever that were able to buy that game. And so you see people just like got my bucket and my game. So funny, dude. But yeah,
Like popcorn bucket. That's awesome.
no, it's like the mop bucket. And that dude, there's a huge thing like that connection. I'm not gonna say anything else about David, but like, that connection like into Control and Alan Wake 2 is so fucking good, dude. It's so good. I would love to write for Remedy. Remedy seems like a fucking amazing company to write for.
Hell, with their new partnership to do was it television and movies? There you go. There's your end.
Dude, there's a world where I was able to like make a fucking Alan Wake movie. Just fucking
Who are they working with? They're partnering with someone. Right?
Annapurna.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Whoever gets that's a lucky son of a bitch, dude.
A24 with Annapurna Entertainment.
Yeah, I'll show them my kids' student films I direct, and I'll be like, pick me.
It should have been me.
Right. Hey.
Also, shout outs real quick. To go off topic, to the person who's still selling the review copy of Persona 2 for $2,500 and trying to get money for that.
Bless their hearts.
Shout outs to the guy on Twitter who just admitted that the first time he ever saw porn was with the Wii U internet browser.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Ironically, if it was like $1,000, I'd maybe try to convince myself and my partner that I needed it.
Hey.
But for fucking $2,000, I can't do that.
So I'm gonna keep you guys on because I want to share this cool idea. Speaking of creativity, but we'll hop off the podcast. We're 3.5 hours in, so anyone who's still watching,
Adrian's about to tell me about all the shit he wants me to hack while we're on our trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone else watching, appreciate you guys. Everyone, have a good night.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.